My goodness. 1, 2, 3. 3 of the top 5 here today are women. What can I say, guys? The women love me. This channel is for women. This channel is for I'm all non-white, non-straight people. For special people. It's kind of interesting because I have a lot of people with dark skin shades who watch my channel, and I bet you I have a lot of people who swing the door both ways or only the opposite way or one. I mean, everybody loves being here, I think. And today is going to be special because a Jewish man named Jesus, Yeshua, is coming in, and he's going to tell me why I'm wrong about Judaism or certain things about Judaism. And I'm kind of biased here, though, because I really like Jews. So I got to try not to be too easy on him. I got to ask him tough questions, challenge him. That's my goal. Let's see. First place is Hannah Elizabeth. 10,000 Pine Points. Then Conrad Rigier. Is that French? 5,000 Pine Points to you. And Melody Joy. Yeah, you've been here many years, right? 1,000 Pine Points to you. And Tog Born. You're the big loser here today. And no, it's not Tovia. Someone better than Tovia, I think. I don't know. We'll see. He reached out to me because he said I was wrong about a video I did. And I forgot to watch it. I was going to rewatch that video. But he's going to correct me on where I'm wrong. We'll see how it goes. Hey, Rick, I missed you at poker. I got to show you guys something. And this is a life lesson. Speaking of poker. The life lesson here is life's not fair and it never will be. The sooner you can teach your kids that, the better they'll be, because then they can learn to adapt. This is my good friend, Aaron. He got dealt pocket aces. And my other friend, Matt, got dealt pocket kings. And my third friend, Tux, got dealt pocket queens. And if you know anything about poker, aces are better than kings, kings better than queens. And the queen came on the flop. And he devastated these two other guys. Like, this is not fair. Like, look at his face. He's the guy who had the aces. Look at that face. And sang Enya quietly to yourself. He's just like going, yeah, why does God hate me? But we still have fun. But we missed you, Rick. I guess I could send him the link now. And he's waiting for me. I think yeah. Hopefully everything works. If not, I'll take other colors. When life isn't fair, cheat your way through. No. You work hard You take your bootstraps and you pull hard, and then you do a flip. This has been brought to you by Life Lessons from Doug. Kings are better than queens. PineCreek hates women. Well, careful now. Some queens are men too. Depends how they identify. Oh man, I'm just causing so much trouble recently. The thing is, it's just so much fun. Only a fool would call. No, Amelia. They went all in. Pre-flop. I think the action was basically all in pre-flop, and the weakest hand won. Like this is that poker thing was just way far too Christian for me. The last shall be first. Tux, you got lucky, man. What sex are aces? Oh, aces are men because of the pointy thing. No, actually, two pointy things. No, I take that back. They're women. Oh my goodness. Is there a therapist here? I need to lie on your couch. You need to give me a talking to. Pre-flop all in, you have to assume ace. No, Edmund. No. You don't have to assume that. Oh, we got 3 minutes. You can ask me questions for 3 minutes before we start talking Judaism. Tux makes his own luck. Tux makes his own lucks. Tell me your troubles. Well, I was born in a log cabin in Canada, so I could be near my mother. By the way, that last video I made, like with each video you make, you can tell how many subs you gained or lost. Net. Lost 6 subs from that video. Yeah. I should have played some Enya there. Ask about Palestine. I'm sure that will go over well. Oh my. I think we want to talk about theology. But let me see if I can find that video where he said I compared Judaism to Calvinism in a video a year or two ago, and I don't remember that. Because off the top of my head, I can't think of how... Oh, here he is. Yehoshua.
Hey, how are you?
I'm pronouncing that right?
Yehoshua.
Say again?
Yehoshua.
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 That's 4 syllables.
Yeah.
You want me to say 4 syllables each time?
It's
See,
actually
mine's Doug. That's easy.
Yeah, no.
Do you have a nickname?
What?
Do you have a nickname?
No.
Okay. Do you like me?
I think you're pretty funny, actually.
Okay, so if you like me and if you're being sincere, then we can kind of skip the rapport building stage of the interview. Is that fine with you? And we just go straight into the meat?
Sure. I wanted to just give you like who I am and who I'm not.
Okay, that's a good idea. Who are you and who are you not?
So I'm Orthodox from birth. You know, I spent my entire life in yeshiva, like studying, like Torah and Talmud and everything.
Okay.
Right now, I'm actually in law school, killing myself. And when I can't study anymore, I watch Toby Singer. And now sometimes, I found you because I was looking for him, and it's just funny videos. I do it as my downtime, but I'm not like a Christian scholar like Toby Singer. I never read Matthew or stuff like that. And I'm also not like someone who debated atheists or Christians or before that, but I feel like I could give you an authentic, like the authentic opinions of just an Orthodox Jew who's not an ordained rabbi, but who's pretty knowledgeable.
Okay. Fair
And
enough.
if I don't know the answer to something, I'll just tell you straight up, like, I never thought
Well,
about
I'm
it.
an expert
It's,
in Christianity, so we can, and you're an expert or close to it in Judaism, and so we can, swap stories. What kind of law do you think you're going to end up doing?
I don't know. I don't know. People in my class tell me I should go into litigation because they feel like I have a fire in my belly. But
Yeah, you
we'll
know
never.
what? I think you should too, because I might need you someday.
Did you ever get sued?
Not yet, but it's always good to have a good lawyer
Yeah.
on retainer. Um, Now I think you emailed me and you said that I compared Judaism to Calvinism, and you know
Yeah.
what? I don't remember that video. So can you remind me what I said?
Right. So Tuya Singer was basically criticizing Calvinism for like the pre-selection and like how like most Christians have total depravity, but they go like farther than that, where like you could really do every sin you want, but you might have been pre-selected for hell or for paradise or
Yeah.
for. So and you were saying, well, like you know Judaism also sometimes says the same thing, and I was like,
Oh.
what? And
Well, yeah. I can remember now because I think I was saying that just like Yahweh chose the Jewish people,
right,
Calvinism chooses the elect.
yeah,
Okay, isn't that right though? Aren't I right?
no. So we believe that you know the Jews earned it, kind of, and
Ah.
you know, yeah, you could ask like, how come? Like, I mean, this is the the age old question: how come babies die? So then how come like, let's say, why would a baby die? What did he do wrong? How did he earn his death? Right? That's like the famous question. Like, why should I believe in God if I saw a baby die last week? But I don't think you were trying to ask that because that's just a much bigger question.
But like I
Um,
lean capitalistic, so I like the whole concept of earning things and not, just demanding things that you haven't earned. So I like that answer. However, like when would you say Judaism started? Didn't it start with Abraham?
um, right. So that's it. God had the Torah. He wanted to have a people, but who's he going to give it to? So Abraham, Abraham's parents were idol worshippers, and he actually worshipped idols himself. But I mean, according to one of the traditions, he actually worshipped idols himself. And then at the age of 40, he like found God himself. And then, but that's not enough. Like God didn't just give him the Torah. Then he had kids also, and Isaac continued that tradition. And then Jacob continued that tradition. So all these people doing the right things merited that. Okay, God's like, I'm gonna pick all your kids. If I
Okay.
once we had like three people, now I'm gonna give your kids the Torah, because you guys showed me that you're the family that should have it. So that's just earning it. It could have been
Okay,
anyone else.
but I'm also remembering a story about uh Jacob I loved, Esau I hated. And this is when they were in the womb, right? Or is that just a
Right. So
Christian
that
thing?
I don't know, hated. So we say that Jacob and Asa had very different personalities. Jacob was much more of like a timid, you know, you know, maybe nerdy guy sitting at home, and Asa was much more aggressive. But that's not everything has pros and cons. So that's not Asa could have been great if he chose to be so, using his particular nature in a good way. So like every nature, you could be a timid guy and be an idiot, or you could be an aggressive guy and be great. So we don't. People kind of think like when I was in like 6 years old, I kind of had that picture that like Asa was like a bad man, but he was only bad because he chose to be so. Like Judaism is the ultimate personal responsibility, free will. Nobody in the world is born and given like a they're evil from the start. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, but
Not even
you know what I'm referring to though. Like I think even before they did anything, didn't Yahweh
yeah. So
choose
in the
one of them?
womb,
Yeah.
yeah, in the womb they say that like when their mother was walking by like a idolatry house, Asa was trying to get out to go serve idolatry, right? So you would think, oh, okay, that means he's been evil from the beginning, but it's really not what it means, because it just means that he was given like these predispositions which could be used for good or evil. It's the same If you notice, like the entire atheist movement of like Greece and everything like started at that time where before that, everyone was serving something. So like something not spoken about is the desire to serve idols is like the other side of the desire to serve God. It's so like once if you have like a strong desire to serve God, like the flip side of that will be like you have a strong desire to serve idols too. That's how like we'll put it. So it's not a bad thing. It's just a certain predisposition.
Mm. But one could say those predispositions were given by Yahweh, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. But they're not bad predispositions. They could be used for good or evil.
Okay, I gotcha.
So like they'll draw you to serve idols, but they'll also make it very, very easy for you to serve God.
You know what's interesting? I just looked it up. It's in Malachi 1, I think, and it doesn't say the womb. I think. What does Paul?
Doesn't say what?
I was under the impression it said before they did anything, but it doesn't actually say that in Malachi 1, does it?
I don't know Malachi 1 by heart, but I'm looking.
And what does
No.
Paul
What
say?
verse are you looking at?
It's verse 2. I loved you, says the Lord, but you ask, how did you love us? Wasn't Esau Jacob's brother, declared the Lord? I loved Jacob, but Esau I hated. I turned his mountain into wasteland and left his inheritance to the jackals in the desert.
That's after he did his actions.
Right, exactly. I'm saying I'm wrong. Yeah.
I mean, the entire, Tuvia always says this, like, the entire Old Testament just screams, free will, and you make your own lot.
Yeah.
God doesn't decide if you're going to be evil or not. It's up to you. Because if we say that God wanted to give people heaven because he wanted, he's good and he wanted to help other people enjoy. But if you just get it for free, it's like, we call it, there's a Hebrew term for it, nama tikisufa. It's like bread of embarrassment, where like, you're being thrown charity. So God wanted you to have a chance to earn it.
Got it.
So they put you in this world with all these tests. And I'm not trying to make you like religious or Jewish. Like Judaism doesn't do that. But like,
yeah, I know they're not evangelical.
You're talking to a singer and you're having all these questions. I just want to,
May I ask why Jews are not evangelical? Like, why do you want me to be a Jew?
I don't want you to be a Jew. I think that you should believe that God exists, and then you should find out, like, if he exists, does he care about what you do? And if he does, what does he want you to do? And then you might find, like, so Judaism doesn't say that non-Jews need to keep the Torah. They just need to keep, like, don't murder, don't rob, stuff like that. But we're not really evangelical. One of the things you asked a lot, you asked Rabbi Singer, well, you're saying this and this about Christianity, but like, couldn't the same thing be said about Judaism? Like, how do we know Moses wrote it?
Yeah.
And the answer is like, that's why we don't proselytize, because we have a tradition like that. Judaism is not based on like, okay, we have this book and there's like empirical proofs that it's true and everything. We're in Passover. Like, since I'm 3 years old, I had Passover every year, right? And like, I believe that we crossed the Red Sea because my dad told me, because his dad told me. I'm sure you've heard this before. Your dad didn't tell you that, so why should you believe in that, right?
Well, actually, my dad did, but it's the Christian, looking back.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, but like, your dad doesn't have a father-son tradition. Like, he may have heard it because he read it somewhere, right? I'm saying it because my dad told me that his dad told me because his dad was there.
Okay,
so that's just a whole different story. So well, your dad doesn't have that, so then why should you believe in it? So that's why we don't proselytize.
But then the real question though is, how do you know this is true? Like, because we can have traditions passed on that are false, right?
Sure, but let's say you came in. I mean, let's say I believe this. For example, if you came into like Israel, maybe like 400 years after like they got there, right? So you're talking times of the judges, maybe Samuel's times.
Okay.
And then you walked in, you didn't know anything, and you spoke to one guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, now we're having Passover because the sea split." And you're like, "Sure, right?" Not only did the sea split, we say that the sea split to 12 separate parts for each tribe to walk through separately. I mean, that sounds pretty fantastic. So you're like, "Okay, yeah, sure," pulling my leg. But then you go around to every guy in the village, and they're all telling you the same exact story. They're all telling you that they know this because their grandfather told them, and their grandfather was there. So like it's a fantastic claim, but if you never heard of 9/11, you go to New York City and there's no videos, let's say there's no newspapers, you're still gonna believe it if every single person in the city tells you that his father was there. So
Okay.
that backs it up. So
Well, but like, how much of it do you personally believe? Like,
all the way,
all the way.
all the way.
And how do you deal with some of the
You can't
real?
be an Orthodox Jew if you don't believe it all the way.
Well, yeah, I guess not. But I mean, do you believe Yahweh actually flooded the earth and that sort of thing?
Yeah, and I mean, isn't there empirical evidence for that? Aren't there like every single like tribe has like their own flood story?
Well,
That's just like a side point. Like I don't need that. I couldn't care less. But I'm just saying, yeah, no,
but
that's
whether it's global or local is another thing, and whether there was a big flood that was in a certain area is another thing. But the whole idea of Yahweh drowning people to execute His justice, that does that sit well with you?
do you know like what they were up to? Like the thing about it is, if you just have like a Bible, there's not much in there. Sometimes, so like, well, what did this guy do wrong? We have like a whole tradition giving us a lot more info. You know, we say that it was so bad, like the immorality, that animals were sleeping with other animals, not their kind, based on like how they saw other people do.
But I'm not talking about that, actually. I'm not talking about Yahweh's right to execute His justice. I'm talking about the method He used. So I have this thought experiment that I often ask Christians, and I'll ask you as a Jew. You're with Yahweh just before the time of the flood, and Yahweh says to you, man, look at those people down there. They're a disappointment to me. I'm going to execute my justice, but I'm going to give you two options. And both options are moral because I, Yahweh, are issuing these options. And option one is I'll just poof everybody out of existence except for Noah's family. And option two is I'm going to send down floodwaters, and they're going to have to swim for a bit and tread water and then eventually drown. And God,
But why would
Yahweh,
God do that?
Yahweh's asking you in this hypothetical, Yahweh's asking you, what should I do?
Right. So I mean, for me, it's like, isn't that easier to just poof everybody away, which you
Yeah.
obviously could do? Um, we have like a not it's not like a law. It's like more like Newton's law. It's like a law about how God works, and it's like God always tries to minimize like the supernatural. So like he'll always operate, and you see this throughout. Like, very rarely do people go poof.
So you're
There's always
thinking
something.
Yahweh did it that way because it's more of a naturalistic way to die.
He always tries to operate with the least amount of supernatural that he needs to
Unless
use.
he's parting the Red Sea.
Even the party of the Red Sea, how come he couldn't just pick the Jews up, put them on the other side?
Okay, a good point. But
I mean, how come he couldn't just take the Egyptian army and say poof?
or do you think,
The
like,
Jews,
do you think when they crossed the Red Sea, it was basically because there was a big wind and a drought that year, and they could wade like knee high through it?
no,
Or
no.
do you think it's actually walls of water on each side and an alleyway that they walk through?
12 walls.
What?
12 walls for each tribe. Each tribe had a
Oh,
separate
really?
thing, and there was like fruits coming out from the side for them to eat. I mean, it's probably like
But
a
that
long walk,
sounds
but
pretty supernatural to me.
yeah, no, but still, why didn't he do it like just evaporate, like,
Yeah,
take the Egyptians
transport
and
them. Yeah, I hear.
yeah,
See what you're saying.
whatever. I mean, listen, we don't claim Jews, like we're busy with like doing the Torah. We don't claim to like, you can learn Kabbalah. I don't learn Kabbalah. Most Orthodox Jews don't learn Kabbalah. We actually say that you shouldn't even, if you want to, you're not even allowed to before you're 40, and you can't even open the book and just start reading. You need to have like a mentor who learns it with you, who he learned it from a mentor. Because you have like Madonna learning Kabbalah, but like we think that's a joke. Like you can't just like open it up and start reading. But I mean, you could study why God does things in certain ways. We're not really busy with that. Like it is what it is. This is what it
Well,
says.
but this is, I think, one
You
reason
know,
why a Jew might be listening right now and doubting Judaism, because if you think about all the young children and babies and toddlers, infants, pregnant women who had to have their lungs filled with water and die that way, like,
so the first of all, there was no women and children there. It was only the Egyptian army. The women and children were
okay,
back
so
at home.
You believe that there were no babies drowned in the flood?
Oh, in the flood or the crossing of the Red Sea?
The flood. I'm talking about the flood.
Oh yeah, no, there were babies died in the flood.
Okay,
Sure.
isn't that
Yeah.
terrible?
So one of the things is like, now this isn't just me, because I wondered about this, and there's just an assumption in that question which says that every person should be judged on his own. What does a baby or a pregnant woman have to do with somebody down the street who murders someone else, right? But you see a lot of times in the Torah, like you have I forgot where this is. There's like a city that gets destroyed and you kill everyone in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Tradition tells us that this never happened. Like there was never a city that evil that merited like that we have to go kill everyone in the city. It's just like a standing law that was never applied. But basically, you see from the Torah that God sometimes judges people on their own, and then sometimes He judges like a family or a nation. They get like a collective judgment. Not that you have like vicarious punishment where like I didn't do anything wrong, but you did something wrong and now I get punished. And like you're the one being judged and I'm the one where the punishment goes. It's a collective judgment. Like the entire nation's judged as a
But
nation.
couldn't you have a city where, and I think this is even in the Old Testament, you could have a city where, let's say, 99% of people are doing evil things and there's one righteous.
Uh-huh.
And God still wipes them out, right?
But
isn't there a bargaining with who bargained with God about that?
Abraham bargained.
Yeah.
To try to find at least 10 people, right? The idea is that the city gets judged. And I mean, when I was in this is actually funny, when I was in school, so my rabbi would tell me like, because he he didn't like people getting drunk. So he would say, listen, like if half the school is outside getting drunk, and you just walk by and say, well, this is not me, I don't know what to do with it. That doesn't fly like that. If it bothers you, you need to do something about it. So let's say like I use all like the Hebrew pronunciation, so I hope you catch it. But like Pinchas, who killed the prince who was sleeping with the princess, right? What he killed this prince who was sleeping with her. This is in Numbers, and he saw this prince cohabiting with her in public, and he went and killed them. He didn't like let just you do whatever you want in public, and we're not going to do anything about it, because when you don't do anything about it, that speaks to you, and and what you really care about doesn't bother you. So, not saying that everyone should start killing people. That was there's lots of like Talmudic discussion about that whole story, but you have an obligation to speak up or do something when the people next to you are doing something wrong. Now, what could a baby do? What's a baby supposed to do, right? He can't speak up, and that's true. But still, you see clearly that there's a judgment on a nation.
Yeah, I understand. I got a lot of people in the live stream chat who want to ask you questions. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, just try to keep your answers brief, because then we can get more people involved here. Is Isaiah 53 about Israel? Asked Grays 174. Is it just Jews being cornered because Jesus is fit, but Jews don't have enough gall to fundamentally delegitimize prophecy and its apparent fulfillment like we do? Oh,
this is like the. I'm just like, so I started watching the Two Singer. Like, I don't know anything about Christianity until a few months ago. Yeah. I don't get it. Like, who cares if it's about the Messiah or if it's about the Jews? It's not about Jesus. How do I know that? Because Jesus came and
but they think Jesus is the Messiah.
Yeah, but Jesus came and told us not to keep kosher. So like, people like missionaries think that if we gave in and said that it was about the Messiah, like we would have to convert. I literally could not care less about if Isaiah 53 is talking about the Messiah. It's not talking about Jesus, because he told us don't keep kosher. He told us he's the Son of God.
What do you mean he said don't keep kosher?
I'm pretty sure that's a verse in the New Testament that he said like all food is clean now. And again, I'm not a Christian scholar, but I'm pretty sure that one of the
Paul alluded to that, but he also said that if a Jewish person wants to keep the law, they can. Yeah, they can. Yeah,
and that doesn't fly.
And Jesus said, "I came to fulfill the law, not abolish it."
The entire New Testament stinks of heresy against the Old Testament, against our traditions.
Yeah, I understand.
It's not like we need like a verse in Isaiah to disprove or prove it. Now, to answer the question, right? So in our way of understanding verses, we always have four modalities. As Pshat Ramish just said, there's the basic meaning, then there's like exegesis, and then there's hints, and then there's secrets. Secrets are probably more Kabbalistic. And now the thing is that um as all like the I think on Isaiah, all the Jewish commentaries say that it's talking about the basic meaning is talking about the nation of Israel, which goes in context. But that doesn't necessarily say that it can't also be hinting to a Messiah. And there are Jewish sources that bring out. I mean, I think if you Google it, there's like in like Talmudical and Midrashic books, there's hints talking about this guy, that guy. It's just very, you can bring a lot of hints to a lot of different things.
Well, if you ever talk to a Christian, I would suggest just ask them, when it comes to Isaiah 53, ask them, well, does it mention crucifixion and a resurrection? And it doesn't.
Right, but like that's not. You get my point. That's not even like a big deal. Like when Jesus came around, I mean, we don't know. I don't trust the New Testament because they falsify so many things, right? But I mean, let's just trust that Jesus did what they say he did. When he came around and told like the Pharisees that he's the Son of God, it was open shut. They laughed in his face. Like it wasn't even like, okay, we're gonna look at Isaiah now and try to analyze the verses and see if it means you or if it doesn't mean you. Like he was saying, like I think even the Gospels say like the guy came to the Pharisees and said that he's saying things that no one ever said before. That's not a compliment.
But I know, but you have to understand that when you said the Pharisees laughed in his face, well, many Christians view the Pharisees as the evil ones, right?
My YouTube handle is the Proud Pharisee.
Doc Pleronot asks, why were the Goyim created? Simply to populate the earth?
And what to serve God.
To serve God. There you go.
What? Just 1 second. I'm just plugging in my charger.
Okay, no problem. Well, there you go, Grace. He doesn't care about Isaiah 53 because it's definitely Jesus is not the Messiah. So there it is. Tag me if you have questions. There, I missed a whole bunch. Why does Yahweh keep repeating "I am the Lord your God" 1,000 times? Asked Matish Patel.
Why does he keep repeating it?
Yeah.
The Jews, I think, if you look at the Tanakh, a lot of times they weren't exactly following "I am the Lord your God." So I can't. You're asking why he felt the need to keep saying that when he knows how the Jews are going to not follow that. Maybe he should have said it many more times.
Well, it's interesting you say that.
I have no idea why he said it so many times, but I don't think that's a question.
It's interesting you say that because you said like the Jews earned, or at least Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob earned to be the chosen ones. But if you look at the history of the Jews, the stories at least tell a story of them constantly failing Yahweh.
Yeah, I mean, we're very critical of our own history, but at the same time, throughout even all those like evil kings, you had all these prophets, which means that they're really holy people, and even the kings themselves who served idols, like our traditions are clear that they also like, kept Shabbat or different things and whatever. Sometimes they didn't, sometimes they did, but it's not meant. Tanakh is not meant to be like a book of like telling you who was holy and who wasn't, to give you like the stats on every generation, were they good or the evil. It's meant to go through the kings first of all. That's why it's called Kings, and it describes the kings. And you see also like the changes. Like suddenly you have an evil king, so you're gonna assume that the entire country is evil. But then when Chizkiyahu becomes the king, the entire country is rabbis. Like they didn't know anything, and now they know everything. We're obviously missing a lot of context, which is that and today it sounds funny, but in those days the desire to serve idols was something we can't imagine. I mean, how come in the second temple, if you ever noticed, no one's really serving idols? What happened? Did you ever think about that? Like, I mean, the big thing then is to become like a Hellenizer or like a Greek or a Sadducee or, just leave the tradition. follow like Socrates and like or whatever, all the Greek influences.
Well,
What
yeah,
happened?
there was definitely people, maybe not in the temple, but there's definitely people serving Greek gods,
Greek
right?
gods, right? But Greek
Yeah,
gods are different than like
idols.
they're just more like a joke, even to the Greeks sometimes. Like it's basically do what you want and like I mean I don't want I'm not like a
I don't know
scholar
if
for
they
that.
viewed them as a joke, like they pray to them to win wars and stuff. But Joshua has a question. Do you believe in hell for the Jew? Is there a
Of
place
course,
after you die that?
yeah.
Oh, really? You
There's
do?
Jews believe in hell. I mean Orthodox Jews at least. The thing is, about 200 years ago, a bunch of Jews decided like they want to throw things out. So that's why you have reform and to a
Okay, is it
lesser extent
eternal?
conservatism. But Orthodox Jews believe in hell. Some people are in eternal hell, like Titus, probably Hitler, probably Jesus. But
Because I heard
most
Tovia
Jews,
say there's a like 11-month cap or something.
yes. I mean, I don't know. So this is like esoteric topics. So I'll just give you like what I know as like a simple layman. Like you go to hell if you sin and you need to like rehabilitate your soul with fire or whatever goes on there. We don't know. There's all sorts of jokes about like how like you know hell is like a rabbinic scholar who found it came up with a great answer and now he needs to text and then the text is just not available and like he has this pain that he can't check the text to see if his answer's right. I mean, we have no idea what goes on in hell really, but we know that it's a place where you cleanse your soul.
Okay,
Most
so it's to correct, and then what happens after the correction?
So some people, again, this is all esoteric, but we know that some people will come back again to
Okay.
fix things, or some people will just go on to paradise to enjoy the fruits of their good things they did. Um,
What do you
and
think will happen to you personally when you die?
I'm working on myself, so we'll have to find out.
You think you're
Um,
going to avoid the bad place and get a pass go collect $200 straight to heaven paradise?
probably not. I need to be a better Jew. This is all like, this is all what a Jew thinks about most, through his life is like, how's he doing it with his accounts in heaven? Like, is he on the good side, on the bad side? If once a year we have Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and like that's really where, we really try to like work on getting repentance for all our sins and things like that. But we don't believe in like believe in Jesus and you're good to go. That sounds like, I mean, I heard that when I was 10. That like Christians think if you just have faith, you just confess you have faith and you're forgiven. And I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like,
What
like
would you say
what does
to
that mean? you just have faith and you're forgiven? Like what? No, you need to repent and you need to stop doing those sins and you need to like make it up to God. What is that?
what would you say to a Christian who says to you that you're going to hell when you die because you
I
haven't?
think it's funny that Christians, right? How do you know the Old Testament is from God? Who gave you that Old Testament? Where'd you get it from? The Jews. So you trust the Jews who got the Old Testament probably 1,200 or 1,500 years before you got it to have the accurate Old Testament, right? So you trust us. And we're telling you that along with those Old Testament that you trust us about, we got a tradition, right? We didn't go over to you and say, here, take the Old Testament. You guys should read it. After Alexander the Great came to Israel, he and at the time like there was either you believed in the Greek gods or there was one monotheistic religion, which was the Jews, and people wanted to know more. And Ptolemy forced. It wasn't like a lot of Jewish people fast on the day that the Old Testament was translated because it ended up being a little bit of like a weapon against us. We were persecuted for it, and also like you have like the mixture of like it being used for impurity. But I mean that's just like a
But
side note.
would you be like would you just kind of dismiss that Christian who says, "Hey, you're going to hell if you don't believe in Jesus," or would you just
Like
laugh
what
at
does he
them?
know
Or
about Jesus? Jesus was a Jew. He was one of us. We dealt with him. Our rabbis saw him, spoke to him, figured it out. What do you know about Jesus? You're from America, England. You
he
read his
saved them
book.
from their sin, they would say.
Like, well, how do they know that? Like, did they see Jesus? We saw Jesus. We have traditions about Jesus. You don't. You have nothing. You have a bunch of books someone wrote. You weren't there. The people who wrote those books weren't your people. Paul had a vision in the night. I could have a vision in the night. Who's saying? It's like Paul literally said, like, guys, trust me, I had a vision in the night.
Yeah, that's what he said basically.
Like, no one was there. We have 600,000 people who heard God speaking to them at Sinai.
But they would
That's
say
what we
that that would say they could say, well, that was just made up.
No, but you trust that. That's the thing. You're an atheist. Christians trust that that's what happened. Right? They read the Bible. They trust.
Well, you know, they're finicky on that though. Like sometimes, like when Paul quotes the Old Testament, and if Paul changes it and misquotes the Old Testament, they'll say, no, Paul got it right. And then those Jews, they changed it later in the Masoretic text.
Okay, fine. But like for like the parts that I'm talking about, they still trust.
Yeah.
So like you agree that we crossed the Red Sea. We have a tradition. Our fathers crossed the Red Sea. You trust us about that. And you trust us that we all heard God speak to us. In the Revelation in front of 600,000 people, just men. There was also women and children there. So, you know, and then you have a guy who tells you he heard something, he had a vision by himself. Like, I mean, like you just measure that up. It's like, but like, it's just that it's not only like a couple of verses. It's like the entire Christianity is antithetical to Judaism.
Well,
Paul makes. I saw Tovia Singer talking about this. Like Paul makes fun of the law that you shouldn't muzzle your animal while he's threshing.
Yeah.
He's like, you think God really cares? That's what Paul said. Do you understand? Like, if you said that in yeshiva, they would like throw you. Like, this is like divine word of God. You know how we know He cares? Because He said so, and He's merciful and He cares about animals. And you just get up there and you go, "Oh, you think God really cares?" Must be the verses talking about something stupid in Christianity. Like, it's just like you say that.
Yeah,
like,
the point you're making. Yeah, the point you're making is a good one. That if the Torah is false, then Christianity is false.
That's for sure.
But if the Torah is true, Christianity could still be false. And this is a point that Tovia makes.
Yeah, and especially since Christianity doesn't sound like our tradition. And you should believe our tradition because you believe us that we kept the Torah base. Even if you want to say we changed a couple verses after Paul came around. But otherwise, we basically, before Paul came around, you're saying that we basically kept the Torah true for 1,500 years. So if you trust us for that, trust us about our traditions also. Now, I'm not saying you need to become a Jew, but, you know, we never told you to believe in the Old Testament. You chose to do so. So we're telling you this is what it is. You know, it says in Exodus, eye for an eye. What does that mean? You take out the guy's eye? So we have a tradition telling you, no, it means the monetary value of an eye. Right? How much a person would pay to lose an eye, how much he would pay to keep his eye, all that stuff. How do we know that? It's our tradition. So if you don't believe our tradition, what do you think? You're just going to decide for yourself that it means monetary value? So God gave it to Moses. He didn't tell him what it meant, and Moses was supposed to just figure that out himself. No, God told Moses, that verse that says eye for eye means monetary value, and Moses gave that to us.
Do you view Christians as idolaters?
I don't know. Like, what is idolatry?
Worshipping false gods.
So yeah, they're worshiping false God. Jesus is not God.
So you would say Christians are idolaters.
If you tell me idolatry means worshiping a false God, Jesus is not God.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, these are like, there's the Talmudical, you know, there's halachic ramifications about doing business with an idolater. So in France, you know, you want to lend money to a Christian, are you allowed to do business with an idolater? So there was debates about how far is there just worshiping a false god, and then there's just something worse? Like when it says when the halacha talks about idolatry, is it just every single time someone's worshiping a false god, or are there certain, you know, it has to be in a certain way? So I mean, this is a complicated topic, but I'm not like a scholar about that. I know Tovia Singer, he says that it's idolatry. It's certainly wrong, and it's certainly not the right God. So it sounds like idolatry.
What do you think Yahweh's going to do to, like, do you think Yahweh looks upon me in a more favorable fashion than Christians? Because I'm not serving any gods or worshiping any gods.
I think he's empathetic to anyone who's born Christian or just born in the Christian world, because you're indoctrinated with all this garbage, and then, you know, you see through the garbage, but then maybe you don't take the next step of finding the truth, let's say. But it's kind of hard to do that, right? Like, you're just so skeptical now because
Yeah.
everyone told, where everything you've heard till you're 25, is a lie. So now your parents lied to you, your uncle lied to you, your pastor lied to you. Everyone's just misguiding you. So that how are you supposed to? And it's a challenge.
Like if Judaism is true, how would a guy like me ever figure that out?
So God judges people based on where they are, right? Doesn't judge people like, well, you should be keeping Shabbat right now. Well, why should you? First of all, you don't have to because you're not Jewish. But like, why should you? Let's say you talk about the 7 commandments. Well, what do you know? You're not Jewish. You don't believe in that. Let's say, right? So God kind of judges every single person, even a Christian in Timbuktu. So let's say you have a Christian who has a question. He goes to his pastor, and his pastor gives him a stupid answer. And the guy walks away knowing that like this was a bad answer, right? So does he just go on with life or does he keep trying? That's where he'll get judged on. I watch videos of like of Toby Singer's followers, like the ex-Christians. If you listen to their testimonies, like it's all a bunch of choices. Like sometimes it took them 30 years to get out, but it was choices to do this, choices to like keep asking, and that's what God is going to judge people on those choices. He's not going to judge them on like the blanket letter of the law because maybe there was no even way they could have done that, but he's going to still judge them on the choices that they did have in front of them, and maybe a Christian will get paradise, right, if he used every single tool, every single time that he had an opportunity to like go further in his search for the truth, he chose to do so. Let's say 500 years ago, a guy in Brazil has no way of finding a rabbi, but he's still questioning and going further until he just decides to stop being.
Here's
what I mean? So like, it's those choices that you get rewarded or.
What would help me believe if Judaism is true or not is 1 Kings 18. Are you familiar with that passage?
We don't believe in memorizing passages.
But I'm just
gonna Google it.
Yeah, it's Elijah talking with the Baal worshippers and other worshippers of false gods, and
when he makes fun of them.
Yeah, and he makes fun of them, and then
what verse is that?
It's somewhere in the middle or towards the end of that chapter of 18, and so Elijah takes the wood and soaks it in water. And the other guys didn't. He said, "Hey, I don't even need dry wood. Yahweh, this is easy." And then he prays to Yahweh, and Yahweh lights up the wood in front of everybody. And a lot of people changed their minds that day. And then the Baal worshippers, whatever, they prayed to their gods, and nothing happened. And
they went first.
Yeah, they went first. Yeah, and Elijah mocked them. Is your God sleeping? Is he out for a nap? Where is he? And I would need to see something like that to be convinced that Judaism is actually true. How about you? Like, do you think that would make you even more confident, or does this whole idea of whether it's true or not matter?
Listen, me and you in our God's eyes have different tests, right? So my job is to like keep the Torah, which is not easy, right? So for me, I wasn't given this problem. God didn't give this to me. Instead, God gave me a tradition from my parents that they were by the splitting of the sea. So this problem that you have, I satisfy that need because in my eyes, I saw the splitting of the Red Sea. God spoke to me at Sinai, and everything else in my tradition is all true. So therefore, I don't have this.
But he didn't speak to you. He spoke to your father's father.
Who was there, right?
But dads can get things wrong.
Sure, but if all dads of all Orthodox Jews have the same story, even though some of them were in Yemen and some of them were in Morocco, some of them were in Ukraine, all have the same story for 2,000 years. So, maybe this is something.
Well,
but my point is that's just for me. So I don't have this need that you have, and I agree that you don't have these fathers. So now that's your challenge. Your challenge is to maybe come to God because you don't have the Torah, and you don't have.
But you agree with me that tradition can be wrong sometimes, right?
I mean, sure, you have all these legends across the world, right?
And so how do you know this is not a legend and it's actually true?
So you believe in what your father tells you until you don't believe it anymore, until you disprove it.
Right.
It wasn't disproven.
Okay, but you got to be careful because you're sounding like a Christian now. Why? They'll say
Christians don't have traditions from their fathers. Well, nobody saw Paul's vision.
Well, the Roman Catholics would disagree with you. They'll say that we got the early church fathers and the traditions, but
no, but like, did those early church fathers see Jesus? Did their father see Jesus?
No, but there's
They met someone else, not their father. They met a guy
actually some of them
crossing
would
the.
say that their father's father saw Jesus, like going all the way to the disciples. They would say that.
Yeah.
But anyhow, it's dangerous to say that you believe something until it's proven false, because what Christians will say is, well, prove to me that the Jesus's body was in the tomb. It was found empty. And unless you can prove that, we're going to still say that Jesus rose from the dead, proving that he's God.
So first of all, this is like this is a lot of points here, but just to get to the last thing you just said, miracles don't prove anything. Jesus could have risen from the dead and soared through the earth, through the sky, and gone to Iceland and ordered a martini, and we literally couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. It doesn't matter. God says if a guy comes to you and does a wonder, not that he says and he scams you, or like he plays some con game. No, the wonder happens, but he tells you to do something that's not in accordance with the Torah. Don't listen to him. That's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what Jesus might have done, didn't do. Do I believe he rose from the dead? No, I don't trust anything in the New Testament. But like, it's not important. Like, it could have happened, and we don't care. Do I believe he did these miracles? It doesn't matter.
Well, it mattered for Elijah in First Kings. It mattered for Elijah in First Kings. It actually accomplished something, if the story's true.
That accomplished something in the other way, because like, how come the Baal gods couldn't do it?
Right, but people stopped worshiping Baal. It's not all of them, but some of them started worshiping Yahweh again.
Yeah, and you know what? They were idiots for serving the idols in the first place. So maybe if he's even in the New Testament, the Pharisees are worried because Jesus officially is doing miracles. So how come the Pharisees don't believe in him? Oh, they're evil, like they're twisted. They know he's God and they still don't want to serve him, or they themselves know the miracles mean nothing. Right? But they know that the common people get all like, oh my God, there's a miracle.
Either that or the miracles never happened in the first place.
I mean, right, because I don't trust the New Testament. But even in the New Testament, it's funny that a Christian reads the New Testament. I don't think he gets all this Jewish context that's going on unless you're a Jew and you read, because all these people who wrote it were probably Jews. So you read like what's really going on. So the Pharisees, they're just worried about the common people seeing all these miracles and going all like hazy-dewy from that. Actually, like, we don't really care about miracles. We got God at Sinai, gave us a Torah, he told us it's never going to change. You come along and say to change it, peace out. You can do any miracle you want. It doesn't matter. We don't care. But I think we were talking about something else before that. I forgot what that was.
Well, I want to... I'm still stuck on this whole, like,
tradition thing?
No, well, yeah, tradition as well, because you've answered that question about how do you know it's true, and it's through tradition. Tradition is basically you're giving the Fiddler on the Roof answer.
I never watched it.
You never watched it? You got to watch it. It's a great, great musical. But let's go into pretend land for a second. So in this pretend land, Judaism is false. Okay? That's a fact in this pretend world. Judaism is false. And now I'm asking you, how do you explain the Torah? We still have it. It still exists as you see it today, but Judaism is false. All the core propositions are false. Yahweh has nothing to do with it. Even Yahweh's not real. Maybe there is a God, but it's not Yahweh. How would you explain the Torah?
Some brilliant dude pulled off the biggest heist ever seen.
Or maybe many dudes.
Many dudes, like almost like they should make like not a movie, like they should make a trilogy about this, because this is like, they convinced millions of people that not like their fathers, they convinced millions of people that they passed through the Red Sea. They hypnotized millions of people, and they convinced them that they heard God at Sinai. They convinced them that they passed through the Red Sea. They convinced them that they saw the 10 plagues in Egypt. They convinced them that they were there, that when the Assyrian army all died in front of Jerusalem. Millions of things. They convinced them. At the temple, just...
Well, maybe it was written after those things, and there wasn't millions of people who saw it. And they just said there was.
There's a tradition, right? So how did this tradition start? How did this tradition, which is not true, how did it start?
Someone just made it up.
People believe it, and they tell their kids. So at one time, someone convinced lots of people that this happened.
Yeah.
which I don't think is possible. And if you know Jews, that's why God chose. That's why I mean I don't think God chose the Jews, but that's why the Jews got the Torah. We're like skeptics. We argue all day. Two Jews, three opinions. And even if you read like Moses gave the Torah, 10 minutes later they're fighting with him. Right? We're just a stiff-necked nation, and we don't take it from anyone. But if we were able to imagine trying to fool us and convincing us that this happened to us, it wouldn't fly.
Hey, Arnie Rovik donated. Thanks. Do you have any relatives that were in the Holocaust?
I'm on my mother's side. I mean, not my wife's side.
Your wife's side.
My mother-in-law's family were all killed out in Lithuania.
Okay. The question is, do you think the Holocaust brought Jews to the faith or made them question God's existence? Was the Holocaust, did they bring them closer to Yahweh or further away?
Are you asking me like for my historical opinion?
Yeah, just your opinion, yeah.
Okay, I'm just trying to preface that because, like, I'm not giving you like the official Orthodox line about this. It's just me speculating. So before the Holocaust, Jews were just leaving Judaism by the droves. Like, it was dying out in Europe. People don't know this. Like, I mean, in Hungary, Poland, some places it was still going strong, but let's say in Lithuania, for example, like every Jew is becoming either a communist, a socialist, a Zionist, a Bundist. Like, they were dropping Judaism. It was going down very quickly from like 100 years prior, where everyone was very religious. It was a massacre, and after the Holocaust, all these movements died out, and then you had like Jews in Israel and Jews in America, and in America they were very like it was a whole different mentality. Kids were instead of kids being into communism, they were into the Yankees,
So I'm hearing you say that it brought Jews closer to Yahweh.
It definitely a few things. It reminded people that hell exists. It kind of like cut off like a certain disease, and the American Jews didn't have a lot of these problems. And 30 years later, I mean, if you were Orthodox in America in 1950, right after the Holocaust, people thought you were a dying breed. Reform was like 90%. And 50 years later, like Pew Research would tell you that, and 20 years from now, like orthodoxy in America is going to reign supreme.
Okay, we're approaching an hour. Boy, time has really flown. But let's do a speed round, and I'll just ask like yes, no, right, wrong type questions. Are Gentiles welcome to visit the synagogue? Asked Eric.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, every synagogue, like, you might have someone say, "I don't want you here," but like, there's no official positions on that.
Do you believe the Earth is closer to 6,000 years old or billions of years old? Not the universe, I should say.
I believe the Earth. I believe God created the world 5,770.
Okay.
81, or I forgot what year it is.
Okay. We talked about this earlier. Global flood, local flood. Where do you lean?
The flood in Genesis?
Yeah.
Global.
Okay. True or false? Yahweh commanded Moses to go kill the Canaanites, including women and children.
I have to check the verses on that. Whatever the verses say.
Okay, whatever they say.
Verses don't lie.
Okay, there you go. You already answered the question about hell. What is older, the Talmud or the New Testament?
Like what was written first?
Yeah.
The New Testament.
Okay. Is there anything in the Old Testament that you think is incorrect or it shouldn't be there? Like, in other words, that there's no corruption at all?
The Old Testament is divinely ordained from God, and it's perfect. If you don't believe in one letter of the Old Testament, you're officially a heretic. Halakhically, you're not trusted as a witness. Your wine. We can't drink your wine. We can't eat your food. If you believe that one letter in the Old Testament is
okay. Yahweh loves Jews more than non-Jews. True or false?
This is like, how am I supposed to know who he loves? What he thinks?
Okay.
God is not like a person with, measurable quantities of love to give.
Circumcision, child abuse or not?
It's God commanded us to do it on the 8th day. It's a sign. It's our sign that we're His people.
If I were to become a Jew today, accept Judaism, would I have to get circumcised?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Unless you already were circumcised in the hospital.
No.
But even if you were, you still need to let out a drop of blood.
Wow. Do you know any men, like grown men, who've converted into Judaism and had to get circumcised?
So I know I actually recently met one and did not ask him about that.
Ask him next time, because I can't.
Dude, how is the circumcision? It's not something that really, I don't think it would be polite to ask him, how that was, but I'm sure he was on the, he had to be.
I'm looking for more questions here. Trying to just keep them short. Keep tagging me, guys, so I can see it easier. How should Jews treat apostates? So let's say, yeah, here's a question. Why so many atheists that have this tradition of Judaism in their heritage? Like, there's a ton of Jewish atheists, yes?
You see this Jewish soul that, like, they're just restless. Either they're Jewish or there's something else. There's no Jew without a religion. It might be, liberalism.
Well, the guy who asked that question is
what?
He told, I play poker with him.
Uh-huh.
His name's Ray, and he has Jewish heritage, but he's an atheist. He doesn't worship any gods, any religion.
Were his parents religious?
I think, Ray, you can ask. I think so.
Okay. There's plenty of Jews who leave the faith. But you know what? I don't want to sound all doomsday, but the Sadducees, they're not around anymore. The Karaites, almost completely gone. The Jews who became Hellenizers, they're not around. The communist Jews, not around.
Do you think that's God's judgment, or do you think it's just naturally they died out?
I have no idea. I'm just saying, look at the religious rabbinic Jews. We're still here, so you decide for yourself whatever you think that means to you. Personally, I think that the Jewish survival testifies to the fact that, because some people believe in God, but they say, well, he doesn't really care what goes on. He doesn't really manage the world. He just created it and then let it go. I think the Jewish survival testifies that God is active.
Yeah, there's a lot of Christians who believe that, actually. Can women have jobs in Orthodox Judaism?
Sure.
Does your wife have a job? Is she? Or you said you're married, right?
Yeah, my wife has a job. She has a college degree.
Okay. Yeah, see, I was raised Mennonite, and it was kind of frowned upon. It wasn't like a law or illegal or anything, but it was like man's job's to provide, the woman's job was to stay at home with the kids.
What verse says that? In the Old Testament or in the Talmud?
You can't really get it directly, but there's some verses I think you could hint towards it.
Hint. on your own, make your own hints. We don't do that. We don't open up verses and start making our own laws. That's not what we do. If it's new, it's not. We don't go with new stuff.
Do you think you'd be a Jew if your dad wasn't a Jew, or your mom? Let's say your mom and dad were atheists.
How would I know? I have no idea.
No, if you're to guess,
statistically, probably not. I mean, look how many people who aren't Jews have become Jews. I'm really happy God made me a Jew.
Do you believe 2 million Jews walked out of Egypt one afternoon?
600,000 men and probably 3 million. I think 3 million Jews total. But it happens to be that 2.4 million men died in the plague of darkness because they did not merit to leave. People don't know that, but only 600,000 Jews left out of 3 million. 3 million men. 4/5 did not make it out.
Do you have any speed round questions for me? Or just any questions for me?
I would love to elaborate on some things we were talking about. Also, when I say, you said, traditions, it's true until it's proven wrong. It doesn't mean anything someone told me is true until it's proven wrong. This is strong evidence. It's not it's just an assumption I'm just going to flow with until it's proven wrong. It's just strong. A 3,000-year tradition, father to son, universal among all religious Jews, is strong evidence to something. It's not not as evidence for you necessarily, but it's whoever
But what's
had
that
that
something?
tradition
It's strong evidence for what? It's strong
that
evidence.
is true.
Well, no, maybe it's just strong evidence that people really believed it.
Right, but why would people really believe that?
Well, because
And
it gives
if
them
a
hope,
guy,
meaning, and purpose.
if I have a tradition from my dad that his dad was there, probably to me it's because he was there.
But
Or
Muslims,
someone
the Muslims say something very similar, right?
so what?
That they have a tradition that they can trace that leads right back to Muhammad and
Muhammad. We don't trace things back to Muhammad. We trace things back to my dad, not Muhammad, not Moses.
well, no, but
My
the Muslims
dad.
could say that too. A Muslim could
No,
say, "My dad taught me the Quran, and his
yeah,
dad taught him the Quran," and it traces all the way back to
was his
Muhammad.
dad by Sinai?
But no, but they would say Sinai. Who cares about Sinai?
So what does the original guy, the first dad? What was he giving over? What did he see?
He was in a
what
cave. His name was
Yeah.
Muhammad, and
So Muhammad's the father of every single Muslim.
I don't know if they would say that, but they would say
So,
that. But they would say that he was the starter. He's the Abraham, basically.
how do they know that? How does
Tradition.
their father? You have a guy Ahmed, right? He's talking about what his grandfather, great great grandfather told him. All his great grandfather got was what Muhammad told him. That's not Jews. God spoke, not Moses. God spoke to my ancestor. He spoke to him at Sinai. That's my tradition.
And God spoke to Muhammad in a cave.
Right. Your grandfather wasn't there. Muhammad told you that happened. It's the same thing with Paul.
No, but a Muslim could say that my ancestor was there.
In the cave.
Not in the cave, but in
outside the cave. Muhammad came out and said, "Guys, this is what."
Well,
happened.
Moses went on a mountain alone. Like you can't and then he came back down.
God came down, right? This is in the verses. God spoke first 2 commandments. He spoke to the Jews straight. This is in the verses, not Moses.
But you weren't there.
My father was there. My father basically this is the difference.
Your father wasn't there.
His father, his ancestor, right?
Yeah.
My tradition says that there was the entire nation heard God. All other traditions say that the entire nation heard Muhammad or heard Jesus or heard Paul, right? There's not one tradition that says that all our ancestors heard God himself.
Okay, when you say the entire nation heard God, are you saying that all the Jews were in one area at one time and heard the voice of God?
That's right. And there was lightning and there was thunder. I mean, these are all verses, and it was scary and it was terrifying, and they heard God. Why did God do that?
Okay, so the Roman Catholic.
Why did God do that? For this exact reason. 2,000 years later, people will be like, well, what's the difference between Paul and Muhammad?
Okay, the Catholics believe that there was like, I don't know, something like close to 10,000 people in one spot at one time in the early 1900s, that God caused the sun to do a little miracle in the sky, like stand still or like go like this, and that there was apparitions of Mary and all these things. Like, you don't believe it.
What does that have to do with anything? Miracles don't matter.
Okay, now
God. What did God tell you?
Right. So God told these 3 young kids that he was going to do this, and so these kids told everyone to go at this place at this time. But you and I don't believe this for 1 second.
No, but even if I would believe it, what does it tell me?
Well,
it doesn't tell me anything.
It tells Roman Catholics that this is a good reason to think that some of this is true.
No, but if you have your own religion, right? You're just having your own religion, cool. But if you agree that the Old Testament is true, and you agree that everything in there is true,
well, that's what we're trying to figure out.
No, but they do trust the Old Testament apart from where they say the Jews change things. So when you believe all these verses about the law and all these things are true, so then your miracles don't say. When you're watching your miracles that happen, how does it translate to how you're gonna take the law? It doesn't. So it means nothing.
Yeah.
Am I being articulate? I think I am. I don't know.
Well, it all boils down to whether or not you believe that Yahweh appeared in front of the entire nation and spoke to them.
Yeah, but Christians believe that, and Muslims believe that.
Yeah.
This is the funny part.
But I think they're wrong too.
I know you're an atheist.
Right? Yeah.
And we're not proselytizing. We're not going over to atheists and be like, guys, you need to believe.
But what I'm saying is that. But what I'm doing here is I'm causing friction between all you guys, because I'm saying there's parts of Islam that have similar types of evidence, and you don't believe it.
That's not similar. It's all based
Similar,
on
not
one
the
guy.
same, not the same, but
It's very
similar.
different. I can make up a story and come out and be very charismatic, and everyone will believe me. I might even do a miracle, but that doesn't say anything's true. Why would it? Why would it say anything's true?
Yeah, what you're focusing on is this entire nation business, right?
I mean, because otherwise, how do you know the guy didn't make it up?
How many people there of the entire nation actually wrote about it?
Wrote?
Yeah.
They told their kids. What do you have to write about it for? They told their kids, and they told their kids the exact same story. Every person told their kids, and that's why if you read the Old Testament,
Do you
I
think
didn't know
that
this
story could be exaggerated?
Well, if the story is the exact same every time. Until recently, I always wondered, like, there's so many verses in the Old Testament. Tell your kids. Remember, I took you out of Egypt. Tell your kids. I was like, what? Like, and I didn't really get this till I met people from other faiths. The reason is that this is Judaism is built on this. Tell your kids. That it's all about tell your kids. Because without that, what's the difference?
Because it's a pretty big claim to say that the entire nation, like there was nobody sick that day, and
you could take polls. You could go around and ask every Orthodox Jew, and will tell you the exact same story. You could. It's not even. You need to ask them. You could look up scholars who did research on Jews. They all believe the same things. That their father tells them. They all believe this. It's not something I'm not making a claim. You could literally go out.
Well, no. The claim is
tell you the same thing.
The claim is that everybody of a certain nation heard the exact same thing, right?
From God.
Right, from God. So the question is, how do we know that any of that happened in the first place?
You don't know that because you don't believe, but we believe that, and every Christian Muslim.
But is knowing and believing the same thing?
It's not faith. Like, I'm just going to trust it. It's evidence. To me, it's evidence because I trust my dad. You don't trust my dad, but I trust my dad, and you trust your dad until he lied to you about Christianity. But I trust my dad because I have no reason not to, and that every person who's born trusts his dad.
Well, no, you do have reason not to trust your dad because I'm sure your dad's given you some incorrect information, right? He's not perfect.
Not about this. No.
He can't be. Your dad can't be wrong about this.
So not only does my dad tell me this, but my friend's dad tells him the same thing. Is this something that I grew up in a community where every single dad tells his kid the same exact story? So does that mean my dad is otherwise a saint? No, it doesn't mean that. But it means that for this story, he's saying the truth. There's evidence to me that he's saying the truth because everyone else has the same exact story from their dads. There was no time in history where we're trusting one person. We're never trusting one person. Jews would never do that. We're the most skeptical people. We don't do that. We would never trust one person. We were all there. That's our story. We were all there. We were all in Egypt. We were slaves, and then we left. That's our story. We all passed through the Red Sea.
We gotta wrap this up. We got one last question. Thanks for the donation, the generous one, Doc Pluramonot. Why would the multitudes that accepted the Gospels as gospel accept them unless they knew somehow that Jesus had indeed miraculously fed the multitudes fish and loaves of bread as the Gospels described? So basically what he's saying is that it's similar to what you're saying about the tradition. Like it took decades for the Gospels to be written, and it was like oral tradition before that. And at some point, like if it's not true, then it would never have been believed, but yet people believed it. That's the point. But yet you and I don't believe that probably happened.
Right, but there's two problems with that. First of all, there were millions of people who believed in idols. Why do they believe in idols? We don't care about majority rule. We only care about majority when we're not sure. When we're sure, we don't care about.
Well, you kind of do believe in majority rule because you just said the entire nation witnessed this, right? So what if it was only half the nation?
It's not we're saying, oh, well, we don't know, so we're going to trust the majority. That's very different, right? So you're saying we have to be wrong because most people believe otherwise. That only applies when we're not sure of something, so we're going to trust majority versus minority views on something. When we're sure, we don't care what the majority thinks. The majority served idols. 100 years ago, most people were communists. Not most, but a lot of people were communists. Most people in Germany at one time were very anti-Semitic. That doesn't mean they're right. So the whole idea that majority is evidence to anything.
Well, it's not. The question is getting at. It's called the outsider test for faith. It's basically saying that in the same type of idea or reason you're giving, I don't think you would accept in a different religion. So let's say something
No other religion makes this claim, though.
I know, but
really, they don't.
well, I understand that you feel that way, but someone can give the basic. Here's a claim. Certain number of people saw it. It was passed down from father to father to son, father to son, father to son, and so forth.
Right.
And they would talk just like you.
Yeah, but they agree to my. This is the joke. They agree to my tradition.
No, I'm not even talking about Christians here. You can imagine.
You want to talk about like Buddhists, right?
You can talk about any religion.
We don't proselytize. That's what we don't proselytize. We're not trying to prove ourselves.
I know it's not about proselytization. It's about what you believe actually true. Does it matter if it's true to you? Well, let me ask you that. Does it matter to you if it's true? Like if
it does.
You would want to know, right?
If I didn't believe it was true.
So then the question is, since we have what we call these defeaters, we see in history people believing things based on tradition, the passing down of oral tradition, and yet you and I would probably agree on many of these things. We don't believe it. We think it's false.
Because tell me a tradition. Like there was a tradition that this witch doctor could do something. How did that tradition start? Ask the tradition. What does the tradition itself say? These traditions fall apart because they're shown to be based on nothing. Oh, really? That happened? Who was there? In the tradition, who was there? Oh, well, I don't really know. I heard from my dad. I'm not sure. I can't tell you when it was or who it was. It's just like a tradition we have. No one really knows when it started or who was there when it happened. The details are vague, but I'm telling you that this is what happened. Ask all those traditions. They don't hold up, and that's why they fall apart.
Well, one could say Judaism is.
They go, this doesn't make any sense.
With all due respect, one could say Judaism is falling apart. Like, I don't know the stats on this, but I would not be surprised to say that there's more Jews who were raised in a Jewish home who are now atheists than as per capita compared to Christians, Muslims.
You don't have the history right. In like 1850, you have the Enlightenment where Jews started getting more rights in Europe, and then Jews started leaving the religion, and
because of the Enlightenment.
Yeah, or they started falling to communism or socialism or secular Zionism, and then since then people just joined Reform or conservative, and then they just dropped. Most people, Jews, atheists today, are not the sons of Orthodox Jews. They're the sons of maybe their great-great-grandfather was, and their son, the guy who went off, he went off because he was becoming communist or something. He had a different.
Right, I understand there's different reasons, but the bottom line is, if the tradition was strong.
There's a rejuvenation in Judaism. A clear rejuvenation in Judaism, but again, that wouldn't tell me anything.
What percentage of Jews are Orthodox, in your opinion? Do you know the stats on that?
I would say, let's say in Israel, it's probably 35%, and in America, it's also probably 30%. But it's not.
Okay, but
it used to be 5%.
Okay, so it's improved, but the bottom line is, if this tradition were so strong, even your own people you don't even represent your own people.
Yeah, but nobody disputes that they had their tradition. They just start saying, I don't believe it. Well, it's not like someone's like, you know what, my dad never told me
that. But they don't believe it because they don't think it's true, I think, right? Or no?
Why don't you think it's true? This is a choice you make to not believe it. We talk about the Holocaust. So
they would say based on the evidence, like there's not strong enough evidence to believe.
What evidence? What evidence?
What evidence you just mentioned? They would say that the claim that God spoke to a whole nation.
Yeah.
The only evidence you have is these oral traditions that were finally written down in the Torah.
Right.
Probably centuries later.
No, Moses wrote it.
How much later?
Moses wrote it before he died. The I don't know, the P word,
Pentateuch.
Yeah, Moses wrote that before he died. The question is, has the last verse work? Because if Moses wrote it through prophecy, then it's not true. Or maybe someone else wrote it, so it's actually a Talmudical discussion.
This is curious to me. What do you think about critical scholarship, like people who study the Old Testament?
I think they're disingenuous. I don't even credit them as being just scholars who just don't know. They're disingenuous. They trust the hieroglyphics, right? But the Bible, which is a different hieroglyphics, you could call another people's hieroglyphics. No, that's not true. Because why do you trust the hieroglyphics over the Bible? I don't know.
Because they would say Moses didn't write it.
Rocks. I think archaeology is we didn't find any rocks that say that.
But you've heard
Or
that critical scholars would say that Moses did not write the
I
Pentateuch
think
and
they're
maybe didn't
disingenuous.
even
I mean,
exist.
I'm in law school. I'm exposed to critical scholarship all day about the law, and I think these people who do Bible studies are disingenuous. Isaiah is there's Deuter Isaiah. Why is it Deuter Isaiah? Because Isaiah could not have known about Cyrus because he lived way before him. Yeah, he was a prophet. So you're coming in saying he's not a prophet, so therefore he made it up. He didn't write it. Oh, that's just great.
Speaking of prophecy, this is getting interesting now.
He's not a prophet, so therefore he didn't write it. But we say he is a prophet, and that's how we knew it.
Do you believe
it's just like?
Do you believe all the prophecies given in the Old Testament have come true?
No, the Messiah didn't come.
Okay, yeah. The prophecy of Tyre, do you think that came true? Tyre. That the Israelites would destroy the city of Tyre. But yet,
I have no idea. Did it come true?
No.
I have no idea. I don't know.
After this, look up the prophecy of Tyre, Tyre, and it's very interesting.
Did it come true? Do we know that it didn't come true?
Well, you read it for yourself.
I think find the destruction level in the ground. How do we know it didn't come true?
I think it starts in chapter 21 of Exodus. Is that right? And but I know the Bible you use probably different chapters. Maybe it's not Exodus. I don't know.
I would know it if it was an Exodus.
Prophecy of Tyre. It's not Exodus. It's Ezekiel. It starts with E. Ezekiel, I was reading about I think the context starts at 21, but it goes to 26. But yeah, you don't do it now. You can look at it after we're done.
It's Siege of Tyre that the city would fall to Babylonian forces after a year-long siege. Did that happen? I know there was a siege.
The thing is, what Christians and I think what you would argue is that it partially happened, and it fully happened when Alexander the Great conquered it 300 years later. But the real
being blunt, don't put words in my mouth. I don't know that I would say that. What Christians say have nothing to do with me.
Oh no! I tell you, I bet you anything I could clip you saying stuff about this prophecy and then put you side by side to a Christian, you'd have the same answers. It's just a prediction. I don't know for sure, but I think you would give a similar answer.
No, we just don't know a lot of history. Like the entire claim that we know ancient history is bogus. Like we know barely anything, and they keep revising things. So
hang on. You know,
how is the world, right?
You barely know anything about ancient history, but yet you know that an entire nation heard the words of Yahweh.
No, because the scholars are not based off of tradition. They're based off, looking at this or looking at that. So their deduction, they make deductions, right? They wouldn't, like you're saying, tradition's garbage, right? So they make empirical deductions, and their deductions do not give them an absolute knowledge of everything that happened. So if I have a Bible that tells me this happened, and they're like, well, we didn't find the rocks in the Red Sea that tell us that happened, so therefore it didn't happen. I'm like, well, that's garbage. Who said that who said rocks are empirical evidence to say something did or didn't happen? And I trust my Bible that it did happen. So either you will find evidence or you might never, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. They don't have evidence that the Bible didn't happen. They just don't have evidence to say that there was ever a crossing of the Red Sea. Well, boo-hoo. I don't care. That doesn't mean anything.
Okay. Well, we've gone way over an hour now. So, Anil, thank you so much for coming on. Good luck with your law studies. I think we ended up agreeing on some things and disagreeing on a lot. So,
listen, if you want, I don't know if you're happy with me, but if you want, I can come on again. I enjoy the discussion, and next time I watch you and you're making fun of Judaism, I might email you.
Okay, I never make fun of religions, so.
No, not making fun, but way you were attacking Tovia was kind of making him sound very not self-aware. Don't you get what you're saying is you don't understand that what you're saying criticizes your own religion as if you're just in a...
Yeah. I know. I remember saying that.
That's what I didn't like. I didn't like that because I felt
I truly believe it though.
He would tell you, he would have answers for you right away, which I think I tried to do here.
Yeah, I think you would answer. I think you represented Tovia quite well. I think he would have answered very similar to you. But I still, yeah. Anyhow, we talked about this at length. Have a great day, and I'm going to keep live streaming, and it's Theist Thursday, so I'm going to have some of those idolaters on next.
Okay.
See ya.
All right, thank you.
Except I have to use the restroom first, so I'm going to play a clip. Oh yeah, I'll play the clip that got me in trouble. No, I won't play that one. Play this one here. Autoplay is on. No, I won't play that one either. I'm so picky. What do I want to play? And then people can come on, and Diego's waiting right now. Oh yeah, I'll play this one. This one is fun. After having an Orthodox Jew on, let's get some good old Mike Winger. The inner testimony of the Holy Spirit.
In which Christians know Christianity to be true is through the work of the Holy Spirit. But the greatest thing the believer has to give them confidence and certainty is the witness of the Holy Spirit. Let me put it that way.
And this is consistent amongst progressive Christians, different versions of this. Meditate deeply. Let go of previous beliefs, specifically previous Christian beliefs. Let go of those. And then wait for a voice from God from within. Then you're going to listen. Then you're going to hear. Then it's going to be transformative. And what's happening is I can no longer take the plain meaning of the text. I mean, I know I'm going to disagree with it, but there's going to be this inner voice that tells me what I should believe. Who's the authority now? Me. My heart, actually.
The Holy Spirit bears witness with our spirit that we are children of God. Why is this significant? Well, because if the Holy Spirit's bearing witness with me, communicating to me internally that I'm a child of God, this isn't just the bare knowledge of being a child of God. This entails beliefs like God exists, Jesus has reconciled me to God, my sins are forgiven, I have a relationship with God through Christ. All those things are entailed, those beliefs are entailed in the idea that God is ministering to me or witnessing to me.
And then you think about, for many people, for roughly 1,400 years in Western culture, you've had this idea of original sin, which is that which is deepest within a human is wrong, off, broken, sinful. So no wonder people end up not able to trust their own inner knowing. They've been taught that if you look far enough inside of yourself, all you'll see is evil and darkness. But what's fascinating is the actual tradition begins Genesis 1, all human beings bear the divine image. That which is deepest within you is good.
Yeah.
Of course, we have tremendous capacity to make a mess of things. Nobody's fuzzy on this.
Well, I think he's fuzzy on it. You have a tremendous capacity to make a mess of things, but your inner knowing is your guide for all spiritual truths. Like, those don't work together, actually. Okay, let's look at this in action. Your inner knowing. He's right there, Glennon Doyle.
Okay, we'll stop it there. I tell you, this is outright contradictory by Mike. I thought this was a good video. The inner testimony of the Holy Spirit. It's great evidence for Mike Winger, but bad evidence for these progressive Christians like, what's his name, Bell? Thanks for the donation, Arnie Rovik. Do I get pie points for the first super chat after the bathroom break? Oh, come on, Doug. Yeah, sure. 1 pine point. My goodness. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I want to do that. Hey, Diego.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I remember you.
Yeah, don't show my face, please.
Okay, I won't. They can hear you, though.
Yeah, it's fine. I understand. Thank you very much for having me.
Is your neck okay?
Is my
neck?
My neck. It's because it's doing very cold here. I have 3 sweaters.
Oh, I look like a Band-Aid on your neck.
No, it's a hoodie.
Okay. Did you hear the conversation I had with the Orthodox Jew guy?
It was incredible. I think yesterday you have it was Monday. You have a similar conversation with a Muslim. It's the same exact points, but he's defending Judaism and the other one is defending Muslims.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I don't know why they can be sure that their religions, their books are right and the other ones are wrong, but they have the same tradition. Yeah, I know, it's insane. I come today because I have a question for you. because I appreciate you, and I think you have a solid understanding of some things, and maybe you can give me some line of this. I was talking with some Catholics. Catholics are actually more likable for me that now I am not longer a Christian. I told you by myself. I still believe that there's a God, because there's no explanation for some things. You remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We talk about aliens and something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for them it's easier to say that maybe other people can go to heaven because they have they explain me they have councils of the Vatican. So they say that maybe some ones that don't accept Jesus can go to heaven. I don't know if you have ever talked about this with Catholics.
The Catholics say that some people can go to heaven who
Without
are not
Jesus.
without Jesus,
Yeah, that's right.
because they have this conscience about the Vatican.
No. There's a council that I'm not sure about. I'm never have been Catholic, but they explained me that the Catholic Church is based on traditions and the popes. They have papal edicts, so something like that. I'm not sure the words. Maybe you have never heard this before.
No.
It's amazing. You should
hang on. Ask your question again.
Yeah, my question is about why we should if you believe there's a hell, why you should have babies. Yeah, that's my first approach to this question for you. So I know that you don't believe in hell, me neither, but a Catholic believes in hell, right?
Yeah.
And believes that some people are going to heaven and some to hell, and many people that don't listen the Bible, they can accept Jesus, right? So because they can accept Jesus, for Protestants, most likely they are going to hell,
right?
But for Catholics, they say no. There is a chance for them because the Vatican Council has in the year 300 something like that has a writing that says that they are not going to be judged about Jesus, but they're going to be judged about their own actions, and they can go to heaven even if they don't accept Jesus. That's incredible for me.
Okay. I don't believe any of that's true, but
yeah. Now I flip the question to me. Mm-hmm. So if I was a Christian, I have always these questions for Christians, and I have never have a successful answer. That if you're a Christian, a Protestant Christian, let's say, you have kids because God says that you have to go fulfill and reproduce, something like that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you actually can be sure that your children are going to heaven, right? That there's a possibility that they go to hell. So
right.
wouldn't be best if you don't have children, because if you have children, there's a possibility that they're going to hell.
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Now, when you were talking with Nathan, something like when a baby is in a cliff and he's going to die. If you are truly a Christian and you believe that the baby is not going to hell, it will be better for him to die there because he's going to go heaven.
Right.
Maybe if he goes older, there's a chance that he goes apart from faith and he goes to hell, right?
Right.
Yeah, but now we are. I don't believe.
I need a question from you.
Yeah, I know. I was trying to explain what I believed before. Now, what's the question is why we should be having kids if you don't have a religion, right?
Because it brings me hope, meaning, and purpose.
All right, but it's perfect. But you're saying about your own perspective. Do you not have you know the perspective of the one is going to be born?
Nope.
And that doesn't bother to you?
Nope. Because I'm selfish.
That's perfect. I'm fine with that.
Yep.
Yeah. Because I was talking with my wife, so we're having some problems because she's
I remember
that baby, and I'm trying to say that if you believe in this and we try bring a baby to the world, there's a chance that he's going to be to hell. So I understand, but now he asked me, what if there's no hell? So we should have babies, and I'm not sure if I can respond honestly that it's fine to have babies, unless I am selfish and I want to have a baby. Is that
Yeah,
enough to.
and if you can pay and afford for your own baby, like if I actually think it's immoral for parents to bring babies in the world that they can't provide for.
I understand.
Yeah.
Even though that I know I'm picking this one, but let's say you have the means to successfully raise a kid, but you can be sure that he's not going to be he's going to be born without a limb, let's say something like that, no, or with a terminal disease, something like that. I'm picking the worst scenario. You can be sure, like, right? There's no way that we can be sure.
Right.
We can be our best to be healthy. We can do our best to have the needs to our children. But once he arrives, he maybe has some defects. He maybe has some disease, and he maybe is not happy with his life. Is there something like maybe push you to say, I'm not sure about having babies or not?
Nope. Because
you're selfish, or because there's another reason?
Because you can play the probabilities. So how many children are born with severe problems? It's still by far a very low percentage. And nowadays you can actually test for certain diseases before they're born. So and if there's a big difference with between a baby being born in the United States versus war-torn or poverty-stricken areas of the world.
Right, in Africa and Latin America.
So even if my child was born with some type of illness, there's still a good chance that illness would be cured early on. So
yeah, I understand.
Yep.
Last question. What about if he is born with something like a syndrome of Down syndrome, mental illness? I'm not sure how it's in English. Is that a problem for you? You have
that's a tough one for me because I had a first cousin who had Down syndrome, and he was one of the happiest kids I've ever known. So you can get a lot of joy, hope, meaning, and purpose out of those type of kids, but they will die probably before the age of 20, and some of their life is going to be very rough. So I don't know. Right now, I'm leaning, if I had a zygote, like I did in vitro fertilization, if I had an embryo and I knew that embryo was going to turn out to be a Down syndrome child, I would terminate it.
I understand. That's really hard.
And if God exists, he can judge me.
Yeah,
don't care.
Thank you very much for your time. I understand. I know you're happy because you already have children now, but for me, now I have the possibility that something like that happened to me, and I have like some fear.
Yeah, I understand. Well, do you have money?
Yeah, I am in the top percent of my country, not like United States, but I am the
But if you're in the top few percentile of your country, you'll be just fine. Because any problems that you'll be able to have options.
Yeah,
money equals options.
Yeah, I understand, but something deep in the because I was Christian, abortion is really tight with Christianism.
Oh yeah, your wife wouldn't go for that.
Something that in my brain explodes.
But your wife is Catholic, you said?
No, she's Protestant Christian.
Protestant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, your wife's desire to procreate is probably very strong.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you want coitus, you gotta listen to your wife.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Thank you for your time.
See ya.
Bye.
It's always a compromise. You don't care. Are you sure you're not a Jew? Yeah, he said that a few times, didn't he? Thanks for the donation, Max. Tried to see if Twitch Politics wanted to talk CRT with you, but they all think Cracker is racist, yet not harmful, so I don't know if that's crowd for you. What, I'm the Cracker who's racist but not harmful? Is that what you're saying? And is Twitch Politics a YouTube channel? I'll just say, if anybody is an expert in CRT, they're welcome to come on here. But I'll also put my cards on the table. I'm going to ask some very simple, direct questions. Like, is all power wrong? will have to say no. And power is one of the biggest things with CRT. You should put up a Bitcoin. No, Lawrence, stop saying that. I'm not. I said that the other day. Thanks for the donation, Joshua. Do you prefer precept or classical apologists? Probably classical apologetics, because precept gets too boring too quickly. Matt Knowles, you see recent article on Friendly Atheists poll in Canada on if other religions are bad for society. Evangelicals did not do well. No, I did not see that, but interesting. Thanks for the donation, Matt and Joshua. None of your business, Lawrence. I don't even have a Patreon account. So what do you guys think of that Orthodox Jew guy, Yehoshua? "35% of Jews are Orthodox." That was interesting to me. I wonder what percent are atheists. What percentage of Jews are atheists? The room's open. Theist Thursday. And theists include atheists who are disciples of CRT. Thanks, Eric. And you donated too, right? Thanks for the donation. Oh. Thank you, Heuristic. 1,000 Pine Points to you. Maybe someone else said it too. Where's the link? But people would have it memorized by now. But it's now pinned. Why do you not critique Jews as much as Christians? Because there are way more Christians than Jews. That's just science. What is there? 200 million Jews? Christians in the United States? Compared to 2 million Jews at best? Thanks for getting AP and I hooked on Letterkenny. You're welcome. It's hilarious, isn't it? Hey, Hugh.
Hi. So that Jewish guy, right? I was very confused. Why does he have so much faith in his father? Because I have a father and he tells me that he speaks to the Holy Spirit like every day. He speaks to God like every single day. Like, should I then pass on whatever my father says to my son and then we just continue the lineage from there? Why does he think that's like he speaks about it like that argument is like foolproof? I don't understand.
I don't understand either.
Oh, you don't? I thought I came on because I thought you understood his position because you didn't say anything really about it too much. Like you just allowed him to keep saying, and he kept restating it with this strength and authority, and I just don't understand. I kind of think that like, isn't it true that today the average person probably is a little more intelligent than before, previously at any time? Like
him?
No, like the average person today, like let me say, take how much you know and compare to how much your father would have known, and then keep going back enough generations. How would the scale look in terms of intelligence and ability to understand? Yeah,
well,
like
maybe not intelligence, but just general knowledge. Yeah, we know way more about the world today. A kid in grade 4 knows more about the world around them today than Moses did if he existed. Like, for sure.
Yeah, so, and the thing is, like, I think that everyone naturally, a lot of times, like, for yourself, you could realize that we aren't the best at giving justifications for reasoning, right? The closest we have come, in my opinion, to being able to establish any causality is the scientific method, right? In any way or shape or form. Before that, it was a lot of guesswork, like, you see a crater fall, oh, this sky is probably made out of rock or something, or whatever. Like, I'm not bashing it. Like, obviously, they're doing the best at that time, right? But why would you think that you should believe it because your father keep telling you? What does that mean? Like,
it means it gives him hope. It just means it gives him hope, meaning, and purpose. And he trusts that tradition dating back thousands of years. That's all. And it gives him hope, meaning, and purpose.
Okay, and then the next thing is, so then other traditions that date back thousands of years, such as, I don't know if you want to go to the Mayan religion.
But they're not the same. You heard him.
What was his justification for it not being the same again?
Well, they're not the same. You can always find differences. This is exactly how Christians talk when they talk about dying and rising gods. Oh, Romulus is not the same as Jesus. They're right. It's not the same, but the themes are the same. The ideas are the same.
Yeah, but if it was the exact same, then it would just be the same thing. That doesn't make any sense. I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't either. But anyhow, thanks for any last thoughts or questions?
Also something that he was talking about that I hear a lot of Jews talking about is, like, for example, when he said, like, the Jews are the most skeptical or something like that, right?
Yeah, I've said that many times.
What does that, is it something genetically that gives them this high skepticism or something? I really think like it have a certain undertone with that sounds kind of like.
No, I don't think he meant it that way. I think he just meant it as their culture is naturally skeptical, which I don't agree with. But
is it like what is his basis for? Isn't like modern enlightenment the most skeptical?
Yeah, because he talked about the Enlightenment, and he admitted that it was the Enlightenment that caused many Jews to leave Judaism.
Yeah, so okay, Orthodox. So if I was to say like my local culture where I'm from, like you can't get anything past us, so like, come join our religion, come be like Methodist or Shouter Baptist or something. Would he accept that as any sort of plausible reason? I don't think so.
No.
I don't get it. All right. Well, thanks for your time. I just was trying to understand. Yeah.
See ya. Ray Cosby says, do you think you left a pebble in Yehoshua's shoe? Yehoshua's shoe? No. Not even I didn't make a dent. Thanks for the donation, Arnie Rovik. Man, you donated a lot today. Do you know any black jokes that your wife finds funny? Would you tell us if you did? Any black jokes? I always say that I like my women like I like my coffee hot, black, and strong, but that's an oldie. But I don't know like any jokes like how many black women does it take to screw in a light bulb? Hey, Joel.
Hey, Doug. How's it going?
Good. It's the first time we talked, right?
We spoke once a few months ago, but I just called in for.
Oh, sorry about that. You didn't hear that, did you? No, you didn't hear that. Okay, what's up?
Well, as a former Catholic, and also a former Mennonite, bizarrely enough.
Oh wow!
I had a little bit of feedback on. I think it was last time you were on. You were going on about how crazy Catholics are, which I agree with. But there was one point in particular about the veneration that actual official church teaching versus how it typically plays out is obviously quite a bit different in many cases. But the like officially supported veneration of the saints by the church is pretty well misunderstood. I think even within the church, for that matter. But it's not like a praying to the saints as though they're like capable of directly doing any miracles for you kind of thing. It's just kind of an intercessory sort of a deal, in that the idea is since they're already in heaven, they've already kind of proven to God that like, oh hey, we're special, we've got God's ear sort of thing, and they're close enough to God that you're probably better off intercessing, having them intercess on your behalf than you are like just some
Intercess
other
for
random
what,
schmo.
though?
Just whatever, you know.
Okay.
All the typical, you know, find my keys, cure my cancer.
Why not just pray directly to God?
It's kind of the same as intercessory prayer in the evangelical circles, in that you know, it was never explicitly stated this way, but I always kind of got the impression that it was always kind of a maybe God doesn't hear you, almost like, you know, your faith alone isn't sufficient. You need to have a bunch of other people with their faith kind of you know, helping you out if yours is insufficient. It was never really stated on either side, Protestant or Catholic. But yeah, I always, I don't know, growing up, I had a lot of misunderstandings about the Catholic Church that, you know, after having spent a couple of years in it, realized, oh yeah, this is all a bunch of garbage too. But yeah, there's a lot that's also misunderstood.
Were you raised Mennonite?
Not exactly. I was born into a Mennonite church. My dad actually still goes to it. But my parents divorced when I was very young, which was a huge scandal, of course, being Mennonite.
Yeah, Mennonites don't get divorced.
Yeah, and so my mom and you know, my sister ended up going to more mainline, you know, just non-denominational evangelical churches afterwards.
Okay, so you're not a real Mennonite then, like me.
No, and I mean, I don't even really speak German either. I can understand a little bit, but
okay, Joel, I'm gonna have to let you go.
Yeah, well, seems fair.
Take care.
See ya.
Okay, I'm hungry. I'm irritable. The next person who calls in, you better be prepared. I mean, know what you want to say, and say it in 10 seconds or less. Oh, now nobody's going to dare call in now. Jeff Goldblum, I'm Lebanese. Where'd that come from? All right, let's see who has courage. I'm hungry, and then I'm irritable. I dare you to call in. I'm hangry, all right. And my next meal's, I haven't eaten since yesterday at 3, and I won't eat till for another 9 hours. So I will have gone 30 hours without eating. And I've been working hard, both here and doing the laundry and taking the dog for a walk and cleaning up. Lawrence! Time out for you. Stop it with the Bitcoin business. I'm going to think you're a spammer. I ought to put you over my knee and give you a talk. Not in the mood. One meal a day, LB. Okay, Nick. You better know what you're doing. Time out for you. Stop it. Nick, you're here. Hi.
I just found your channel on the Jew subreddit. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Yeah, just now. I'm talking maybe two minutes ago.
Are you Jew?
I am. So I just saw the title of your video is you're talking to an ex-Jew, right?
No, I talked to a real Jew, not these fake Jews.
Well, I mean, okay, sorry, my bad. I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, I just finished a little while ago talking to a real Jew that's more real Jew than most Jews because he's Orthodox.
So I used to be in his exact position, which is why I'm calling in. In his exact position. I didn't watch it because I just found it. But I was there.
You were an Orthodox Jew, and you
I
now no longer.
I'm talking hat, everything.
Okay, what got you out? What advice would you give Yeshua? How do you say his name? Yehoshua.
No. His name's Yehoshua. Yehoshua. It's actually my
Yehoshua,
brother's
but it's 4 syllables. That's the third syllable I can't get.
Yehoshua.
No, the
Yeah, it's
second one.
Joshua. And
Yeah.
the
Joshua. I'm
English
gonna call him
English-
Joshua. Okay,
Yeah,
talk
for
to
you.
Joshua.
Okay.
He's listening right now. Talk to Joshua. Tell him the truth.
All right.
I'll give you.
Oh man,
I'll give you.
it's difficult. All right, listen, it's very difficult because you grow up in yeshiva, which is I don't know if you know what yeshiva is.
Joshua.
Yeshiva. Okay, so yeshiva is basically
Yeshiva. Yeshiva. Everybody knows what yeshiva is. What's yeshiva?
You know what yeshiva is. Okay, sorry, I thought maybe Yoshua would have told you. Okay, basically yeshiva is how. Listen, this is my first time. I literally just discovered your channel.
I know.
a minute ago,
And
so-
the thing is, you caught me at a time where I'm fasting and I'm grumpy. So if I say anything rude to you, just forgive me, okay?
Oh, no problem. Listen, I'm also on a weight loss program right now, and I'm also in a bad mood. So
Well, I'm not
gonna
fasting for weight loss. I'm fasting for Jesus. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm an atheist. Oh yeah, Joshua wants back in right now.
All right. Well, let me just explain really quickly. You can let him back in. I don't mind.
You want to talk to him?
Anyways, so-
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Oh boy.
I want you. I'll give you.
I just want to say.
I'll give you 100,000 pine points if you can deconvert Joshua today.
I can.
You can't? Well, you don't
No,
think
I
you can
can't.
do it? Okay, I might
No,
lose you,
because
but
I
you'll come right
literally-
back. Hey, listen to me. I might lose you, but come right back. You might not have to do anything, but if you got it, right? You
Yeah,
understand?
fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah, one second. I gotta plug in my laptop.
Okay, we're gonna have a former Jew and a real Jew go head to head here, and I'm gonna sit back and watch. Oh, Joshua, I can't say the Jewish version. You need to come back in.
This is gonna be fun.
Yeah, you first time on my channel, and I already have employed you.
I'm getting paid. I better get paid a lot of money for this.
No. This is pro bono. You're doing this for the
Get
hope.
it.
You're doing this for the hope, meaning, and purpose. Yehoshua. How do you say?
Yehoshua. It's not. Actually, my brother-
Yehoshua.
Yehoshua.
Yehoshua. Here he comes.
Terrible. You're just terrible.
Here he comes. Okay, so
Hey, how are you, Nick?
I'm going to call you Joshua
Good.
because that's the English version, and that's Nick. And Nick is here to deconvert you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
What is your name? PineCreek? What do you go by? Like, what should we call you?
You don't even know my name, and you're here doing the Lord's work. I'm my
I
name.
literally just found your video. I swear to God, or whatever, 1 minute ago.
Yeah, my name's Doug. I run a channel called PineCreek. It's one of the biggest,
All right.
fastest growing, real hard hitting channels on the internet. And so now you two, Joshua, Nick used to be just like you. And he
Yeah,
claimed,
just like you.
and then he claims he saw the truth. God told him that God didn't exist. And
Yeah,
so,
he told me.
so anyhow, Nick, tell Joshua why you left Orthodox Judaism.
Well, gosh, it's a long story, but okay, let me just give my background so you even know who I am. So I grew up like ultra Orthodox religious. I mean, black hat, jacket. I went to yeshiva for a couple of years, you know. If I said the yeshiva, you'd know. You would for sure know. I just don't want to say it. I don't know. Are you in the U.S.?
I'm right now in Toronto, but I grew up in Lakewood.
Okay, so yeah, no, I went to yeshiva. Like, you for sure know the name of the yeshiva, no question. Actually, I was taking it so seriously in terms of learning and everything, all the mesechtas, right, all the tractates, that at one point I got accepted to Tells, but the 8 side of Tells, not the Gimel, 8s. Guys are gonna have no idea what we're talking about, but between me and you, you know. So Doug, you've been listening?
No, I had to let the dog out.
Okay. Well, I was just saying that when I was up until just about 2-3 years ago, I was like ultra Orthodox. I was studying in what we call yeshiva, which is basically college, but for ultra Orthodox religious Jews, where we study the Talmud all day.
Ah, so you were even
I mean,
better
like,
than
8
Joshua
hours.
because he's studying law.
Oh, you're already going off the derech, man.
Well, I'm 26. I spent
I'm 22 years old.
13 years in studying Talmud. Now I need to support my family, you know.
Okay, but I need to know who was the better Jew before Nick left. Like
me. I was definitely better. I was definitely better. Listen, no, I'm not even saying that to be funny. I actually mean it. Like when I was in the system, I was studying like the Talmud, which is one of the biggest.
Can I test you? Where is the
prophecy?
Where is the prophecy? Because this is where I stumped Joshua a bit. Where
he's not gonna know.
Where is? You don't think so? You want to place a bet?
Place a bet. $5.
Boy, you're confident. I don't know how to transfer the money easily, but anyhow, Nick, where is the prophecy of Tyre, and what is that prophecy of Tyre found in the Old Testament?
The prophecy of who?
Tyre.
Tyre, like
Tyre.
Canadian Tyre. I don't know.
The city in Phoenicia.
How do you say it in Hebrew? Because of the English name. Because I learned all this stuff in Hebrew, so I don't know in English.
The former Christian, now atheist, knows more about the Old Testament than you two guys. Come on.
No,
some parts, you know about some parts of it more.
Because you're saying it. 1 second, I'll look it up on my computer right now. You said the prophecy.
It's in Yehoshua.
Was it Yehoshua?
Yeah, you don't know.
I don't know it.
Unless you know Yehoshua, why would you know Yehoshua?
I actually do because
what is this?
Listen, you're not going to understand what we're saying here, but you have to give me a minute. Listen, I actually did because I took a whole history class when I was in yeshiva, and we went through the whole Malachim Aleph, Malachim Beis, everything.
Yeah, but that's not Yehoshua.
You wasted your time and money. All you had to do was come to the PineCreek channel. One day is like a month at your yeshiva, whatever.
Yeshiva. Remember, it's not so difficult. Yeshiva, Yehoshua. 2 words.
Yeshiva, Yehoshua.
Yeah, exactly. Yeshiva is the ultra Orthodox college kind of thing where we just study. You
can get a bachelor's. You could.
Okay, forget the Tyre thing.
I want $5.
I said to Joshua, tradition, schmedition. Like, who cares about tradition? Like, you can have traditions that are false, and everybody still believes it because it's tradition. And he says, but Doug, these are nothing like it has happened before, right? A whole nation heard Yahweh speak, and therefore we can be confident that it happened. And my father, I don't have any reason to distrust my father until I have a reason to. And so anyhow, tell Joshua why that's a bad reason to believe.
Well, first of all, there's literally no evidence that anybody ever left Egypt beyond just a couple hundred people, maybe.
So that disproves something? You don't have evidence about something that happened 3,000 years ago. So that's
no, we actually do. We have evidence
disproves it.
Much earlier than that.
Actually, it does, Joshua. Let me butt in here for a second. Joshua, it actually does. And you know why?
Why?
Because when you have a claim like, let's say I told you that I have a dead body in the trunk of my car right now, and let's say you were here, and we opened up the trunk of my car and there was no dead body. Absence of evidence is evidence that my claim was false to begin with.
It's not absence of evidence.
There's no body.
It's evidence that it's not true because you said it is there, and I'm saying it's not.
I'm
not telling you you'll find rocks.
No. The real issue is if the Exodus happened, the way the Old Testament, the Torah, whatever says, you would expect certain evidence, but we do not see that certain evidence.
What evidence would you expect?
Oh, well, let me tell you. Do you mind if I jump in?
I'll tag you in.
Okay, so according to that, when they left Egypt, or Mitzrayim in Hebrew, and then, of course, when they were around the desert for 40 years, the Midbar for 40 years, right? By the way, I speak fluent Hebrew. I lived in Israel for 5 years, so I speak probably better Hebrew than you do. Anyways, there were legit 6 million people, probably more, by the time they got to the desert.
3 million.
By the time they got to the desert,
they had kids, right?
Exactly. So by that time, there were millions of people walking around a desert for 40 years, okay? And of course, this, I'm not just saying the desert, because I'm also meaning when they left Egypt, all right? We don't have anything, nothing. And wait, it doesn't just stop there.
But should there be anything?
Yes,
After 3,000 years and sandstorms? My grandparents live in the south of Israel.
Because we have evidence already of things that happened many, many years earlier with carbon dating and all that stuff, and we have very clear evidence of where they were.
But you have evidence of every single thing that ever happened. I've read that archaeologists have maybe a tenth of 1% of evidence of things that happened prior. Like,
Well,
it's
that's true.
possible you could find it, but
That's
I
true.
don't think
But
that
if you have
you
if you have
can't
a
find
group of
something that happened 3,000. If it happened last week, you should find something. You should find, chocolate wrappers. But it happened a long time ago.
No, trust me, when you have 3 million people walking around the desert for 40 years, and after that, what do? They pillage, they basically do a whole genocide and kill everyone in a country, right? Very nice God, just go kill everyone there, whatever. All the kids, everything, I don't know what you do with the girls, but anyways, a very nice God, a very loving God.
It's
He's
a
like, just go
separate
kill
point.
everyone there. But we don't even have evidence of that. You go through they don't have a single little bit of evidence that there was any nation that went and just killed everyone out. We don't.
But it's so long ago.
It's
just so long ago.
Well, you're not going to have evidence of everything, but we have evidence of things that happened.
The tradition was so long ago too, Joshua. I could say the same thing. No, but
it's still the tradition's alive today. In fact, you don't have rocks from 3,000 years ago showing you some event. You honestly think that every single thing that ever happened in the past 13 billion years or everything the world is, every single time someone fought with someone?
No, I don't. But do you expect every tradition
still existing?
No, I don't. But do you think every tradition is flawless and perfectly?
But that's a different question. Right now, we're asking that we're saying that the lack of archaeological evidence disproves the Bible. That's all we're talking about. Not the kids.
I think Nick and I would agree with you here that it doesn't mean it 100% didn't happen, but it's still kind of bizarre. Like maybe tomorrow something will be dug up, right?
It's a little interesting, but that it doesn't disprove it. I agree it's a little interesting. Who knows? Maybe God, I have no idea. Maybe God made it like that because he wanted to give us a test. I have no clue, but it doesn't.
There's a lot of things God does like that to give us a test, You're also, something else, actually? You're not allowed to test God. That's another commandment.
It's actually not true. You're allowed to test God. You're allowed to say that I'm going to give charity and so that this should happen.
How many people left Egypt?
But this is not us testing God. This is God testing us. So that what you said doesn't apply. God is testing us, not us testing God. I mean, but this is just me speculating. I have no idea why there's no evidence, but that doesn't. All I'm saying is that it's not proof that it didn't happen. It's just there's probably no evidence for lots of things in history.
Really, like dinosaurs.
And the archaeologists keep changing.
And then there's no proof that Jesus didn't rise from the dead. There's no proof that Muhammad didn't speak to Allah in the cave.
Jesus rose from the dead. I could not care less if Jesus rose from the dead.
It doesn't matter if Judaism true. I could care less.
Well, it does matter because if it's true and you don't do the things that
Christianity does matter because if Jesus did rise from the dead, it does matter because if Muhammad is the prophet, one of the last prophet of God. See how that works?
I'll tell you why it doesn't matter.
Doug, listen, we know you want to be Jewish, but you have to control yourself, man.
No, but Jesus and Muhammad, I tell you why it doesn't matter if what they did happen or not, because they both agreed to the Old Testament. So Christianity and this
Muslims don't.
About Islam, Christianity agrees to the Old Testament. Do they not?
Yeah.
Do. And so it's not that Christianity is not true. It's that the Christian claim is contradictory.
Well, that means it's not true.
It's not even about. Let's say Jesus did rise from the dead. So what? So therefore, they're saying because he rose from the dead, do this. The things they say to do to.
Yeah, we already talked about this, Joshua.
Right. So it doesn't matter if he rose from the dead. Judaism tells you a coherent story. Christianity tells you a contradictory story. So therefore, Christianity, even if whatever, the inference doesn't work.
There's no contradictory stories in the Old Testament?
No.
Do you agree, Nick?
There are a lot of I don't even go there, but for me there's just so many like fucked up things. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this channel, but
you can curse all you want, you just have to whisper it.
All right.
Do you want to know why kids died when
can't say that? All right, there are just so many messed up things. All right.
Tell me the messed up things.
Okay, the first messed up thing is you have to kill homosexual people. You have to
kill homosexual people.
Yes, you
do. We don't kill homosexual people.
Now you don't, but
no, we never did.
What are you saying?
You don't kill homosexual people. You kill people who engage in homosexual acts. It's very.
Oh, he's saying that homosexuality is a choice, not a.
Does it ever say in Leviticus to kill homosexual people?
All right, you understand exactly what I'm saying. It doesn't matter. I don't care if you want to see either way. You think it's okay to kill someone just because a guy likes another guy and they have sex? Who gives a shit?
God gives a shit.
You're really cares.
Checkmate, Nick.
That I am worried.
Okay,
I am worried that he's just like sneaking in, and I'm just like,
I appreciate you causing me to say that. I said it like quickly.
Yeah,
it's okay, man. You're not gonna get punished. You're not gonna go to hell. It's fine.
No, it's not about hell. I just don't want to say that. Whatever.
Joshua, let me ask you this: would you be for would you be for capital punishment of practicing homosexuals today?
So today we're not allowed to kill people.
Stop it.
In
I
order
know
to kill
exactly
people,
what
you
you're
need
saying.
an ordained
I'm talking
court.
about if we had a high court right now, all right?
Like
We had
if
the
Messiah would come and the entire world believed in God.
That's right. That's right. Would you be okay?
We had an ordained court. Yeah. If you committed a homosexual act, you will be
there. You go.
Put to death. Now, I mean, I just have funny. What do Christians do? Because this is a verse in Leviticus. That's what it says. I'm sorry, bro. Like,
oh yeah, Christians struggle when I ask them this. They don't know what to do.
Jews don't struggle. It's
we understand. You understand how messed up that is. You understand
why
how
is that messed up?
Why is it messed up? To kill people because
does a homosexual act bring children into the world?
Oh, so now we're gonna kill anybody?
No, I'm asking you if
that's good.
I'm asking you.
No, homosexual acts does not bring children into the world. Where are you going with this?
Right, you're saying homosexual is not wrong. Homosexual act's not wrong. So let's talk about that. What would and now I'm not God. I can't give you his reasons, but just speculating. Homosexuality is just an act of pure pleasure.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Heterosexuality is not. God abhors
it can be.
Homosexuality. He does not abhor heterosexuality.
It can. Well, hang on, but Joshua, you would admit that a man and a woman can have coitus sex, and it's still be completely like my wife has had a hysterectomy. We don't have sex coitus for reproduction.
Right, because in the inherent nature, the symbolism of the act is still something that is done.
Well, two men can symbolize.
Again, me speculating, but is the nature, whether you have hysterectomy, the nature of the heterosexual act is still something that doesn't have a bad connotation. And this is just me speculating as to God. Why would God be?
Hey, okay.
You're going to be speculating a lot, man. You're going to be speculating a lot. Then you're going to be telling me
I don't have to.
Because here's the point: a lot of these things don't make any sense, and the reason
how do you
why
know it doesn't make any sense? Well, do you have insight into the nature of how the world is supposed to work to know if something makes sense or not? Doesn't make sense to you with your brain. You know, however old you are. Does that mean like
22 years old?
Okay, so there's a story like not a story, a parable. Like a guy walks in. He sees a farmer like destroying the ground. Oh, that's a different parable. He walks into a synagogue, and the guy who's running it, he goes around the shul. So let's say you have like there's honors. So he goes to that corner and he gives that guy an honor. Then he goes to the other side, he gives that guy an honor. Then he goes to the middle, he gives that guy an honor. So somebody who's from a different town goes over to the guy after and he goes, "Why don't you just go in order of the rows? Like 1, 2, 3. Then next week you do the next row, the next row." So the guy goes, "That guy his son was bar mitzvah. This guy just had a baby. That guy's getting married. So me and you don't know God's ways or reasons, and we're not meant to. But like you can't. When you assert that homosexuality is fine, you're asserting that you know everything and you know the way nature's supposed to work, and that's why you're making your claim, and you have no way of knowing that. And I don't know that, and therefore I don't.
To me,
I don't give you reasons.
Yeah. The thing is,
if let's say God created the world. Let's say you agree He created the world. Then how could you say He's wrong when He knows everything? You don't.
Okay, good point, Joshua.
You're just saying God didn't create the world.
But Joshua, I could just say, okay, I'm just going to disregard what Yahweh says.
Sure, but if He created the world and knows everything, that means what He says is morally right. And
Why?
Why? Because He's good. You don't think God's good?
Hang on. Why do you think God's good?
Because He created me and He gives me a life and I have joy and I have happiness.
I created my own children. Does that mean automatically make me good?
No.
Does it automatically make God good when He creates?
No, but He didn't just create. He supports everyone. He gives every person what he
needs. Okay, so now you're adding things on, right? So it's not just
lots of things. God's goodness is not the scene.
I don't want to. I just want to stop really quickly. I don't want to interrupt anybody, but I am.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I'm cranky, and you guys can keep going.
This is what we do in yeshiva. We interrupt people.
That's right. Okay, so that's very true. Anyways, you think God is good? Well, let me point out. I don't know. Maybe you heard of this Ukraine war with Russia. You know how many civilians are just dying? Africa, you know, people are dying right now because they don't have food enough. God is very good. God is very good. But of course, it won't matter because those people aren't Jews anyways.
No, it's not the reason.
Go to hell anyways after
life,
right?
That's not true.
So,
non-Jews don't go to hell anyways. And the fact that they're non-Jews doesn't make it that it doesn't matter. But you're just basing on an assumption, which is like a Western idea that every single person, and we spoke about this, every single person should be judged on his own. And it's like a civilian should just be like protected because he.
By what standard do you judge God is good?
Nations get judged.
By what standard do you judge Yahweh is good?
I think that He provides for everyone. He's taking care of the Jewish people, for example. I
Look
feel
at
like
him,
a lot
he's
of
cranky. Doug is cranky. God is not good to Doug today.
No, like the thing is, the correct answer, I think, Joshua, is the standard in which you judge Yahweh as good is Yahweh, right?
no, it's
Or is goodness something outside of Yahweh that you can judge Yahweh by?
yeah. I think the fact. I mean, why did he have to create me? You didn't create your kids because you wanted to create another being and that they should have a healthy life. You wanted to have sex.
Who doesn't?
Maybe you also had other intentions too. God has no gain from creating people. Why does he have to gain?
So why did he create then?
Because he wanted to help them benefit. Not benefit. He wanted to give them goodness.
But look at the cost. Look at all the people who
yeah,
suffered.
but this is just a ride. It's all about the next world, right?
Oh, you
So
sound
this is
just like the
the
Christians.
next world. What?
So basically, you just admitted that this world is a load of shit, and for many people,
No, it's not. It's also
okay.
very good if you
Wait,
don't
hold
break
on.
the laws.
But it's okay because the next world.
No, it's also very.
That's how
like
people
what's the name? How do you say it in English? Job, who had a lot of pains, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you get pains in this world, but overall, generally, I would think that most people are happy to be alive unless you're clinically depressed. And overall, you have your ups and downs, but you're happy that you have a family, you have kids. People enjoy their lives. Do you think
Did the Canaanites enjoy their lives when Moses and the Israelites came marching in?
I'm sorry.
Did the Canaanites enjoy their lives?
The Canaanites were sinners.
Yeah, exactly.
We have
Doug, they were
archaeological
gay people,
evidence.
and they had to kill them.
They would slaughter. They would do kid sacrifice. They were doing incest. We have archaeological evidence of that, which I know you guys are very big into that. So we have archaeological evidence supporting what the Bible.
Okay,
says.
let's get back on track. Let's focus. Okay, so the main reason why Joshua believes this is because of tradition, right? And if we could weaken that tradition view in your mind,
Bring me evidence that my tradition is wrong. Don't bring me. Well, we couldn't find rocks. to
okay,
support
but
it.
let's be very specific, Joshua. What type of evidence would you need to say, okay, maybe my tradition's wrong? Like, what type of stuff would you need to hear from Nick?
What type of stuff would you need? Because right now on Reddit, people don't believe Finland exists. Right?
No,
Oh,
I'm
stop it.
asking
What
you.
type of stuff would you need to say that Finland?
Can you give Nick an example that if it were true, you would say, I think Nick is right and
sure.
Judaism is wrong and I'm out.
It says that the Jews will be punished, will be scattered all the world, but then they're going to come back. So if the Jews had just died out, if you're a Christian and you just see the Jews just stop existing, there's no more Jews. There's
So
no more.
if all the Jews were to go extinct, you would be. Well, that's you.
Not me, but for you, if you saw all the Jews go extinct, which would contradict the Bible.
Is there anything in the text that you could learn that you would say, this is made up by men and not from God?
No. Like, how would that happen? Tell me.
See, I think, Nick, we're wasting our time then, right?
Why are you wasting your time? Like, tell me how.
Listen, I kind of said this from the beginning. There is nothing you can do. Listen, for me, it was a long journey. It took me 3 years to get from being like really stuck in everything to really finally like, all right, this is all BS. Like it takes.
I don't think I'm being stubborn. Like, tell me, give me.
No,
give me
I'm not
reasons.
saying that either. Listen, the real issue though is that you don't. For me, listen, we're kind of a bit off topic here, but Doug is whatever. Who cares about Doug? Anyway,
just my show.
Doesn't matter. But
you're Canadian, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah, me
How
too.
did you know?
I'm in Toronto right now.
I'm Canadian too.
I was born in Ottawa.
Manitoba.
I'm in Brussels now, though. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah. So the real issue though is that according to Judaism, you're literally like They tell you that, it's okay, in Judaism, especially in ultra-Orthodox Judaism, we encourage you to ask questions, right? But it's really not true. The second you start asking any legit questions, you're basically out of the community. You're done.
I know that some people don't do what they're supposed to do.
No.
I feel bad for people who have to experience
I said ask questions, and what I'm saying is that the reason why there's a lot of pressure and a lot of people stay in the community is because you're not even allowed to ask questions. If you start asking questions, you'll be shipped off to another yeshiva. You'll do this. You'll get a bad reputation, and forget about getting married.
I know. So I know that some people have that experience. I don't want to deny your experience. And
it's not my experience. I never did it. I left yeshiva before that.
Even so, we say we want questions. A lot of people don't abide by what we're supposed to do. But I'll just tell you my experience. which may not speak for everyone, was that I asked my rabbis, I drove them up the wall, but since they saw that I wanted the truth, they respected me for it, and they encouraged it.
What you go to?
I don't want to say that on YouTube.
Oh, you don't want to say?
I'll share it to you privately. And
You can say it in Hebrew.
Whatever, we'll do it privately. And
What city is it in?
it just made me stronger. I would hate
Huh?
to be like some guy who never asks questions and then be challenged by a guy like Doug and then be like, oh, I don't know, maybe I should drop everything, right?
No, because that's never how
Your
it works.
responsibility as a Jew is not to just buy it from your dad, also to just think about everything and make sure that you're backed up. And I think that, I mean, I know reason why I wanted to come out with Doug is because I didn't want all those years of searching for the truth to go to waste. I wanted to see if I could hold my own. So, you know, but like Jews are meant to ask questions, and the fact that you had a bad experience is really unfortunate. If you had a bad experience, but like I did not have. I asked I spoke to him about how old the world is when you have scientific evidence showing that it's older. Whatever you wanted, I discussed.
What did he tell you? What did he tell you about that question when you told him?
You know this guy Slifkin?
I don't.
Yeah, so there's a guy who wrote a whole book about this, trying to like, you know, change the Jewish tradition to try to fit it to science. Right now, we have a tradition and there's science. They don't appear to agree, and that's that. Move on. Like,
what's the answer? What's the answer? What did the rabbi tell you?
Right now, the science looks like it opposes it. Maybe the science will change. The science is always with science in the long term. The science has always come to fit the Torah. It used to be the Greeks said the world always existed, and we said no, it had a beginning, and then they said no, you're right, it had a beginning. I think 50 years ago they said the world's 100 billion years old, and we said it's 6,000 years old. Now they changed it to 13 billion years old, so we were 87 billion years more on target than they were.
Okay, hang on. I think we found some falsifiability here. If you became convinced that the Earth is billions of years old, would you drop Judaism?
No, because that's not a core tenet of Judaism. It doesn't say that in the Bible.
Okay.
You know,
if you became convinced that the Pentateuch was written by 4 authors and not one, would you drop Judaism?
Yeah.
There you go, Nick. How many authors wrote the Pentateuch?
Who wrote it? I don't know. How, probably written over a whole lot of time.
Don't they say that isn't there a theory on this and it's written by 4 authors at least?
That I'm not familiar with, but I mean, I don't think it was written by any single person. I think it was just put together over a long time.
Yeah. Tradition.
I love the way they attack Isaiah's legitimacy. He couldn't have known about Cyrus because Cyrus lived way after him, so therefore he couldn't have wrote it. Which is like, you're not a prophet because you're not a prophet, and therefore you're not a prophet. I think it's
more than that. It's more than that. It's like everything is pretty much right on track with history until a certain point, and then it starts to go awry. And so critical scholars can date Daniel to a certain... the first half of Daniel's dated way earlier and further in the past.
But why are they dating it like that? Because they don't buy... They have to come in with the assumption that there's no prophecy because prophecy doesn't exist, because God doesn't exist, there's no such thing as prophecy.
But why would you for 1 second, put yourself in my shoes, why would you for 1 second think an author from centuries ago has prophet abilities?
Sure. No, again, we don't proselytize the atheists. You do what you want. The funny thing is,
don't give me the answer about we don't evangelize. Answer my question. Like, shouldn't you and I be the same and say we don't give the benefit of the doubt to people who say they can see the future?
Because I have a tradition. This all goes back to tradition. What should I tell you? You don't have a tradition. My ancestors saw prophets. They literally, in the Kings, there's like, it's called a seer. Why is he called a seer? He could tell you what's going to happen next week, straight up. And this happened all the time. All the time. There's so many prophecies that people then witness, and they've told to me, passed down, that this is what happened. So you don't believe that, you don't have this tradition. We do. It all comes back to tradition, nothing more.
But you do not believe that tradition is a good way to come into this type of knowledge with other religions?
Because I feel tradition is a great way until you have a tradition that, like, somebody in the Amazon has some tradition, and then they realize that, no, the tradition is contradicted. That's what happens with every tradition. You believed your father until you realize that he's wrong. Didn't you?
That sentence doesn't even make sense. Like, no, I didn't believe my father on everything. Some things yes, some things no. It wasn't just like, even to this day.
But like things that you could tell that he was just giving you his own opinion, you didn't believe him. But things that he told you with full conviction, I'm sure,
No,
it
even
depends
then. No. Like
give me an example.
you claim to be skeptical, right? You should be
Yeah.
skeptical of your own father and his father and his father. You should be skeptical of your core tradition.
I would be, but then my friend has the same tradition. It's not like I have a secret tradition. Everyone, I don't know if you have a tradition. You grew up in Ottawa. Are there even religious Jews in Ottawa?
We didn't live there for long. We moved to America.
What were you doing in Ottawa?
That's just where my parents met.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know any religious Jews in
We
Ottawa.
moved to another city with a lot of ultra-Orthodox Jews.
Yeah, but were your parents originally religious? So what were they doing in Ottawa?
No, they became religious, but before they got married. So
Okay, so you didn't have a father-to-son tradition because your father was not born religious.
well, that's a bit weird thing to say because most times your father doesn't teach you exactly. Most fathers just send their kids to yeshiva or
And that's
whatever.
why people leave because their father.
Oh, that's why people leave.
Sure.
That's why
Sure, they
people
go to
leave.
school. Why should you trust the rabbi? He's not your father. Maybe he's lying to you. He's not ingrained in you. A father is meant. This is what Passover is all about. At the Seder, the father's meant to take his 3-year-old kid and start brainwashing him, like if you would. That's how you would call it, right? So that when he gets to school, the core tenets are not being taught by the teachers. They're already ingrained, and the teachers are putting things on top of that. When parents are derelict in their duties, and they expect the teachers to just become the parents, it doesn't work. It never has. Never has worked.
But what you're describing can also be said of false religions.
Sure, I told you that the tradition is good for every religion until you know that it's wrong, and until you grew up in the Amazon, your father told you some crazy tradition about how
So if I have a religion that there's a purple Volkswagen Beetle on the dark side of the moon, that's a good tradition until it's proven wrong.
So you have to put more context. What does the tradition say? How does the tradition claim to know that?
Well, okay, so basically you're saying there are things that you can look for within the tradition to say it's a bad tradition.
Yeah, because the tradition's like, it was a purple sun. How does your dad know that? Oh, his dad told him. Well, how did the first person know that? We don't know.
God told him.
Then what?
God told him.
God told him. Who
Yeah.
says maybe he's lying?
Yeah, maybe your foundational belief in Judaism is based on a lie.
So name the liar. Who's the liar?
Who's the liar? An unknown author or authors of the Pentateuch.
No. Name when you're saying
Myron, that's his name.
No, but when you're saying that it's not true, you're saying that every Jewish ancestor, thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people, are all liars.
No,
The same lie.
I'm saying that one or two people could have lied, and then people bought into it, just like Islam, believing Muhammad,
So they
just like
convinced
Christianity,
people-
believing
they
Jesus.
convinced people that their dad told them something when he didn't tell it to them.
Right.
Yeah, that's very probable. He convinced them. You think I could convince you that your dad told you something that you have no recollection of your dad telling you?
No, I'm saying that your dad can lie to you.
But like all our dads got together and
No,
made the same
all
story.
it takes is the first dad, and then the second dad believes it, and the third dad believes the lie, and then so on. All it takes is one dad.
How does it take one dad when you have an entire nation with the same story?
But that dad lied about that. An entire
No,
nation
but
saw
there's
it.
more than one dad.
No,
different dads.
you just believe it's your tradition that there is more than one dad. But the original one dad said there was this, but he lied.
So let's say you had one dad with 7 kids, and you're saying that everyone descended from that one dad, right?
Okay.
But the tradition doesn't say that. The tradition says.
Wow, that's exactly the point, though.
Yeah,
No, but the tradition
I'm
doesn't-
saying that the tradition is based on a
doesn't say
lie.
there's one dad.
I know. I'm saying the tradition is based on a lie.
I know, but the lie needs to be if it's wrong, right? If the tradition's wrong, then it has to be that all these people who told their kids the story, because they're saying they heard it from their dad. So all the people who told their kids the story, right, all lied.
No. They believed the first dad, so they were sincerely mistaken. They were misled. They were deceived, but they are not liars. Only the
So
first guy was.
Let's say I'm getting confused because it goes way back, but let's say Sinai happened 2 generations ago, right? I mean, that's what the tradition says. The tradition says that my father saw Sinai, was at Sinai, right? So, and that's if my father was lying. And now my friend has the same tradition. So his father also lied. And then his friend also has the same tradition, so his father also lied. When you have a tradition saying that 600,000 people told their kids something, all 600,000 people need to have lied.
No.
Okay, can I just ask another question? Just not very related. I'm just telling you right now. Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, would you agree that slavery is okay? Now, again, I'm not telling you now. I'm talking about in the ideal state when Messiah came. We had the temple back, the base of Mikdash back, right? So we're back in order, right? We got everything's back in order, right? So let's say it's the year 6000, whenever Messiah decides to show up, maybe 200 years from now, right? Would you think it's okay during that time to have a slave?
So a non-Jewish slave or a Jewish slave?
Non-Jewish slave.
I have no idea. I don't know what the Torah would tell you about that. The Torah never says you should have slaves.
Okay.
Torah
Is it
just
okay?
gives you laws for having them.
Okay. Well, how about this? Let's go back in time then. Let's say it was a time of the temple. We settled in Israel, right? We just finished 40 years in the desert. We settled in Israel. Now it's you're just chilling there. You got the prophet. It's all cool, right? You just finished genociding an entire country, but that's no big deal. Anyways, because they're just sinners. So would you say that it's okay to take a Eved Kenani, or I'll say it in English, is it okay to take a I know you say Canaanite slave? Is it okay? Canaanite, sorry. Is it okay to take a Canaanite slave?
You want to know if it's halachically wrong? There's no law against it. Is it okay? Is it okay to eat?
What an amazing God!
Wait,
You're like being as a slave.
Is it okay to eat an entire cow?
Is it okay
to eat an entire cow?
I don't know. Doug is pretty hungry right now, so I think you'd eat pretty much anything.
No, but like an entire cow to just like gorge yourself out. Would you say that's a little bit morally wrong?
If you want to have a cow, you can have a cow, man. If you want some ice cream, you can have some ice cream.
It's a little bit.
No, Joshua, I would say it's okay.
Yeah, it's not.
No, it's fine.
No, because I could eat it. I could eat over a course of a half a year.
No, you're all gonna eat the entire thing now. You're gonna stuff.
I don't think that's even possible, but I'll still say yes.
Okay, so I'm not coming up with a good like gray area, but like basically what I'm trying to say is that the Bible doesn't say taking a slave is right. It just doesn't say that you're violating a law by taking one. It doesn't say anywhere you should take slaves.
Yeah, it does. You may.
Well, I'll ask you another question. Are you allowed to free a slave? Are you allowed to free a slave? No.
I think you are for certain reasons. Yeah.
For very certain. There you go, man. I mean, this is a really kind God. Someone I'd really love to pray.
What's wrong with being a slave in a Jewish family? You know how many rights you have? In those days, that
you all hear this, Doug? Are you listening to this? I can't.
Oh, this is nothing new for me. This is every day of my life.
No, but in those days, right?
Yo, are you listening to yourself, bro? Are you listening?
Those days it was the Wild West, right? You could be taken slave by any dude on the street if he was stronger than you, right? So if you're a weak person, you might be grabbed up by Romans and put in the galley, right?
All right,
Joshua, this is Leviticus 25. This is Yahweh speaking in the first person.
I can't read it. Could you make it?
I'll read it out loud to you. Your male and female slaves are to come from the nations around you. From them you may buy slaves. You may also buy some of the temporary residents living among you and the members of the clans born in your country, and they will become your property.
Exactly. You may buy slaves. Not that you should buy slaves.
Oh my God.
No, it's really.
You think what you're saying? So
you know, in Judaism, there's commandments.
First you
tell us. There's
commandments
in Judaism. This is not one of them.
1 second. First, you tell us it's okay to kill men who have sex with other men. I don't know about girls.
I'm not saying this. Like.
You are saying. You're saying that God said it. So it is. It's not. 1 second. Wait. Yoshua, you got to give me a second. So, no second. This is the Torah we're talking about, right? This is the Bible, so it's the Word of God. There is nothing more perfect than this.
That's right.
So for us to say that, no, it's true. You have to believe that.
Yeah.
Every word, every letter is 100%
every letter.
correct. Exactly. Fine. So first, you tell us that if we're back in the temple and everything, Messiah came, you would absolutely have to kill someone, a man who had sex with another man. The second thing you're telling us is that it's okay to have a slave. Anything else you want to add to this? Like, I'm just...
No, I want to qualify that. At that time, in those days, God allowed people to have slaves. What would God say in this time? I have no idea. Does God...
When is it ever okay to have a slave? This is God. This is the most kind being on earth. And you're telling me he's worth having a slave?
What? Sorry?
1 second. God is not... God doesn't care what the Romans are doing. He doesn't care what anybody else is doing,
of course
right?
He does.
He's telling the Jews what to do. He's not telling the Romans what to do.
He orchestrates things. Who do you think God doesn't decide who wins wars? Who becomes powerful?
One second. I don't know where you're going with this. I'm just saying that God was okay at one point with having a slave, and I just don't understand how it's ever okay. Because I'm not into slavery. I'm very happy we ended slavery 200-300 years ago, or however long ago.
Why? So let me ask you, who told you why can't you have slaves?
Man, if you don't know the answer to that, then you really need some help.
No, seriously.
It's because the concept of empathy, Joshua. So, like,
no, no, you were not allowed to be cruel to a slave. But there's so many laws you have to feed. There's so many laws about that.
Ah, but can you beat your slave with a rod as long as they don't die and they can get up after 2 days? No.
You're talking about Evan Ivry, not Evan Kanani.
No, even Evan Kanani.
We're speaking Hebrew right now. I'm sorry.
You guys, just because the Bible, there's a lot of laws in the Bible, both in the Old Testament and in the oral tradition.
True or false? You can beat your slave as an Israelite.
But see, that's not the right question you should be asking.
Did people beat their slaves? Actually, probably. But were you allowed to? No,
Would Yahweh be okay with you beating your slave?
No.
Okay. Would Yahweh be okay
with the point, though, Doug? You're making the wrong point. I'm sorry, you're making the wrong point.
No, you believe in every person's individual right to be free.
Slave. The point is that you're allowed to have a slave, and that is even remotely okay in Yeshua's mind.
No, but Joshua would say that it's because of it's more of an indentured servitude type deal and not slavery, right, Joshua?
No. You own the human being.
Does he believe that? Ask him. Do you believe that?
Yeah. At that time, God allowed you to own.
Oh, here we go. At that time, just say yes. Stop trying to act nice. You know exactly what we're saying. You really believe that God is okay with owning a slave, and you
also believe you're right. No, but I also believe.
Who else should we kill?
History to a place where no country recognizes that it's right to have slaves. Everyone should be free.
Yeah,
so
we've
evolved together. I say God probably at that time allowed people to have slaves, but maybe when the Messiah comes and we go back to Jewish law ruling the world, we'll find something different. I don't know.
Okay, there's an implication in this verse. I want to see if you see the same implication as me, Joshua. Your male and female slaves may come from the nations around you. You may buy them. You can bequeath them to your children as inherited property and can make them slaves for life, but you must not rule over your fellow Israelites ruthlessly.
Right. It just means you're not allowed to own a Jewish slave for life. A Jewish slave had to go free after 6 years. A Jewish slave only became a slave if he stole and didn't have money to pay back.
Okay, but ruthlessly, what does that imply to you?
Ruthlessly is English translation. Could you tell me what verse it is? I want to find it.
Yeah, Leviticus 25, verse 46. To me, in my opinion, this is actually one of the hardest verses for Christians and Jews to get around. Because it really makes it sound like you can treat your slaves pretty badly. Just don't treat your fellow Jews this way. Yeah, Leviticus 25, verse 46.
Jews are better than non-Jews, so we're better.
We're not better than non-Jews. That's not true.
Yes. What do you mean? You're just look at what we just read. Look at what we just read.
We got 5 minutes left, guys. I gotta go. 5 minutes left.
36.
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the Hebrew translation, how you would translate that.
I'm looking at 25:36.
No, not 36. 46.
46.
Leviticus 25:46. And I'm hoping that you're
here's the translation, the Hebrew translation in English. But as for your brethren, the children of Israel, a man shall not work his brother with rigor. Take out the word ruthless, maybe.
Rigor? That's not that much better, is it?
Well, it doesn't mean you shouldn't. Like, doesn't apply. So when you have a Jewish slave, you have to give him like more bathroom breaks. What do you think rigor means?
To me, I get the impression what that verse means is, okay, so let's say you're an Israelite and there's your slave who's not an Israelite and there's your Israelite friend. I'm getting the impression you could just go douche, backhand slap your slave, but don't treat your fellow Israelite that way.
You're getting the impression from the verse that it just means you could whack him, you can't whack him.
He's your property.
Right, but you can whack that guy, you can't whack this guy. That's
right, yeah.
What your impression the verse is trying to say. Now, our old tradition, which supplied you this, the same people that supplied you this verse, tells you that's not what it means. That's not what it means. It means that a Jewish slave, you can't bequeath him to your kids. You don't own him forever.
Why not?
After what?
Why not?
Why did God make the law like that?
Yeah.
That's a great question. It's a whole different topic. We can talk about that now.
Like, why do the Jews get to not be bequeathed, but the non-Jews can be bequeathed?
Right. So a Jew becomes a slave when he robs, right? And basically, the idea is we don't want a Jew who's serving God to be under this guy's, telling him where to go, what to do, go do that, go do this. We want him to be free. A non-Jewish guy of those times who's serving idols, we don't mind. It's actually probably better for him spiritually to be under a Jewish household where he's not serving idols. A non-Jewish slave is actually considered halakhically a half Jew, and he's obligated in some, not all commandments.
Oh, so you're doing the slave a favor.
I don't know. Yeah, probably, to be honest. Because then he's serving the idols. These idols were it wasn't just a concept of bowing down to something. It was an entire way of life. The Jewish way of life was much better. But
yeah, man.
This
we have
is
to save people and turn them into slaves. That is a real way. Talk about being moral. We have to save these people from doing the wrong thing, and so we make them our slaves. Yeah.
You know that the Canaanites were sending their kids, slaughtering their kids. We know the Aztecs would slaughter humans. They were doing that. Were the Jews doing that? No, they weren't.
Well, but what did Yahweh do to the Canaanite kids? He slaughtered them back. He slaughtered. You said that the Canaanites were slaughtering their own kids, right? Sacrificing them to idols. So instead of sacrificing it to Baal, they just sacrificed it to Yahweh. The kids died no matter what.
Who sacrificed who to Yahweh?
The Jews.
Yahweh commanded Moses.
The Jews didn't sacrifice them on an altar. They killed them.
No, it wasn't an altar, but it was a sword through the heart.
Yeah, because it was a judgment. There's a difference between judgment on a people and then let's sacrifice.
Okay, so when you kill a child,
this random baby to die, God didn't tell you to sacrifice this baby.
When you kill a child on an altar, it's bad, but when you kill him with a sword in the heart, it's okay as long as Yahweh commands it.
When a nation deserves to be killed out, it's good. When a nation deserves to be killed out, it's good. When a nation doesn't deserve to be killed out and you kill someone, it's murder.
Yeah.
And you kill your own kid, and you think God wants that?
Wow.
Hey, Nick, very pleased to meet you, Nick and Joshua. We got to end it here. Maybe we'll do this again. Stay in touch.
I'm just being honest to the verses, guys.
My emails, Nick, is in the About tab. Okay?
All right, guys. Great to talk.
See ya. Are you not entertained? Thanks for the donation, Eric. The thing is, atheists listening to this, this sounds exactly, Joshua sounded exactly like a Christian defending slavery, right? I think that is a good way to get Joshua to doubt. And I know you're still listening, Joshua. I mean, watch some of my Christian interactions about slavery on my YouTube channel. And I think this will impact you because you're going to hear words coming out of the mouths of people that you think are idolaters, and you're going to say, I sound just like them. And Nick, if you're listening, this is a great strategy, I believe. It works for me, it works for anyone, that if someone hates an idea and they end up sounding like the people who talk about that idea, they go, whoa, what have I done? And if Tovia is listening, hi Tovia. Lawrence, thank you for not talking about Bitcoin. It only took me timing you out and telling you to shut up, and then you mended your ways. You should have lined up some Christine Hayes clips. Yeah, Man Bear Pig. Yeah, that's where I was going with the Pentateuch. See, I appreciate what Nick was doing, and I kind of followed his lead a little bit. He was trying to tap into the morality problems of the Old Testament, and how our morality has evolved beyond that. But Nick, I think the real crucial thing here is to weaken the foundation that his beliefs are based on in the first place. To put yourself in the third-party perspective, really be skeptical of your traditions, Joshua. That it is not that difficult to imagine how the Torah could have been written and how Judaism could have survived, and yet the core proposition's false, false, false. I'm a crypto-fascist. Yeah. Dharma Defender, you said this was boring, these two guys talking, and you're still here. You're a flag-waving phony, Dharma Defender. You say it's boring, yet you can't help yourself. Yeah, can you believe it, Lawrence? That some people find this boring? Yeah, I understand, Peter W. Dharma Defender didn't get enough hugs as a child. Elias, the Russian Muslim. How's your army doing? Hey, to all Russians listening, the state of Arizona could take you out. We don't need all of the United States. My state alone could wipe Russia out. I know that offends Russians, like Elias. Are you? Maybe you're not the Elias I'm thinking of. Hey Nick, I know you're new here, but watch this. This is what Yahweh should have done with the kids during the flood. Instead of drowning them, he should have poofed them out of existence.